So, gonna give you a little story real quick. Someone I care about, and let me know if everyone can hear me. Can you hear me? You should be able to hear me. Hi, ladies. I'm gonna start with a little story. Someone I cared about lost a deep friend, a very special person in her life. And the funny thing is that person was not a person. It was a dog. A dog of 14 years, though. Single woman. This is her companion. This is who she comes home to. This has been her protector. 14 years. And because I'm close to her, I decided to attend the homegoing for this dog. What makes it sad is that the dog was still alive. And she could go on no more. And she was struggling and straining. And she suffered notorious injuries that her 14-year-old body could not sustain. And so the owner, her mother, made a strong and very difficult decision to say goodbye to her friend, her protector, her everything of 14 years. Single, middle-aged woman. And I'm there, and the doctor is there, and the doctor's name is she's a Karen, but she's a really, really sweet, older white lady. And she handles it with compassion. And the dog is there, and it's been lying in her, big, huge dog, been lying in her own urine and other things because, you know, you have to put diapers under her and everything. Pain was painful. But we shepherd her home. 2 shots. First shot makes her fall asleep. The dog seems to know what's happening. At least it feels that way to us. She looks as if it's like, I know it's time. Okay, it's time. And she moans a little bit, and then her head is stroked by the owner, and she finally goes into this deep slumber. Second shot comes 15 minutes later, and she's gone in 2-3 minutes. 14 years gone like that. I share this story of a stranger losing her companion, her dog of 14 years, because it was so touching, so beautiful, so humane. And then I think about the juxtaposition of the topic of today's show. It's men, largely, namely black men, suffering from PTSD. And how some black men feel like their lives could be taken at any instant. And often how some people, including folks in our own skin, have disregarded these lives. And there is no time frame. There is no planned humanity, because it was such a beautiful, humane thing that occurred this morning that I witnessed. It's just a matter of they're gone. I have a question for you all, because this is going to be a deep conversation, and we'll lighten the mood in certain spots, but I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to be a trying conversation, and hopefully I could keep the mood going and keep things going. There's a gentleman, Amir Locke, who passed away, but he died. No, he was killed at age 22 in Minnesota. Just a few weeks ago, early this month, another no-knock situation. Another warrant issued for police to go and get in there and do whatever. And they got the wrong man and they shot him not getting into a police situation. This isn't even going to be a black or white thing today. My question to you is, what are the conditions of this life to where a young man is sleeping on the sofa at a friend's house and he feels a need to have his gun with him? Legally owned, 22 years old, feels it's a regular thing that is needed. His gun. The police saw him. They saw him get off the sofa. He was sleeping on a sofa. This wasn't even his house. And he had the gun by his side, and he raises the gun up. I'm not here to challenge the police. I think that's an easy one. I'm here to question, what existence are we living for our young men, hell, our grown men, to sleep on a sofa of his friend's house and feel that he is naked without a gun? Did you live that way? I know some people have lived really hard lives. I didn't live that way. And I've been around guns all my life. What is happening on a mental level to where our young men feel the strain? Today we'll talk about it. I'm going to open up the show and then we'll get started. This is the Shawn Show. Welcome to the Shawn Show. And Tyrone too. On today's show, it's about black mentals. Featuring Ready to Love's Dante. And our featured guest, Dr. Leigh Willis. And I got the sign fixed. All right, this is a note to Kym. Please go ahead and join me right now, please. There she is.
Hi.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. This is my second episode of the Shawn Show, brought to you by, I got it somewhere, Body Butter Bakery. And the lovely chocolate woman you see on your screen is the procurer of this fantastic product, Body Butter Bakery, and it's Kym Dudley. How you doing today, Kym?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing fine. It's going to be a kind of a heady show, but, you know, it's a Shawn Show, so we're going to do that today. A little bit more serious this week, but we'll still have some antics. Glad to have you here, and once again, thank you for the products. And you see, I got the sign fixed.
Good. It looks good. Perfect.
I got the sign fixed. So, on the show tonight, Kym, we have, like I said, Dante from Radio Love. He's on the show because we're going to talk about him as being my castmate and all that, his experience on Radio Love. But we're really going to get his professional experience because he's a deputy corrections supervisor here in D.C. of young men. And so that's something that we're going to tap into on a professional level. We'll have plenty of time to talk about his relationship with Aisha and all that. But, and Tyrone,
can I ask you about your personal experience?
Yes.
I was just wondering, because, you know, I've never been a black man. Are there ever any times I know, shocker. Are there ever any times where you have to be like over aware of a situation or how you're presenting yourself or how somebody might see you when you're in certain situations? Like, it's two of us in the elevator. Do I,
All the time. I think with Black men, when it becomes a situation with other Black people, or other, it's just we have a little bit of a lightening of our attitude, or we may puff ourselves up. So in other words, we may not care as much how we present ourselves. We're a little too cool for school. At least is how I feel as a Black man, and I'm kind of a buttoned-up dude. So I can imagine other fellas being like, I'm amongst family, I'm cool or whatever. But that's a Black experience. But when it's around other folks, and we're going to definitely get into all these situations, yeah, you definitely have to be aware of that. So you're catching hell from all sides if you're a Black man.
Okay.
So, in fact, tonight's episode is going to look at the PTSD side of things that a lot of people don't know that Black men are going through. And so Tyrone, who's about to join us in about 2 minutes, he's waiting on the line to jump in. He suffers from PTSD, but he left the country and fought for our country. As a military man, I expect international formed PTSD.
Right.
I shouldn't expect PTSD coming from the streets of Akron, Ohio, or Macon, Georgia, where I'm from.
Right.
And our guest, Dr. Leigh Willis, has studied this notion extensively. So we're going to get into the social scientifics of it. And then we're just going to have a roundtable with Dante, Tyrone, and myself.
Okay.
With that said, you still got your products on. How was your Valentine's Day?
It was no different than the other. I'll say that.
All right. I'm not going to mess with you too much. We got to go soon. But Body Butter Bakery, go to bodybutterbakery.com. Kym was so sweet to give us a code last week. What do you have for us this week? Oh, I heard that you're about to, did you have a product that you're about to retire for the season? Like, was it Apple?
Yes, and I actually only have 3 units left. Apple Crisp is a seasonal scent, and once these 3 are out of here, they won't be back until October because I got to make room for a new scent. Okay,
so when growing up, Apple lotions and stuff were all the jam with Victoria's Secrets. I had a woman who smelled just like apple. She was, she drew roaches. That's how sweet she was.
Don't do that.
But she knows who she is. She was a good smelling woman, but we about to get diabetes hanging around her. But you only got a few left, so they can still order that, right?
Yes, they can order it. They can use the code MENTAL. That'll be 50% off any order until 12 Eastern, midnight Eastern. Code MENTAL, MENTAL.
All right, I'm typing in the website right now. So just bear with me, folks. Bodybutterbakery.com, correct?
That is correct.
And you doing it up again. You giving us a code for 50% off
of
your products. And the products are good. I'm wearing it right now.
Well, thank you.
I smell great. There's no one here to smell me. but I smell good. I'm probably going to melt under this damn light. But code MENTAL.
Yep.
MENTAL. And Kym, how have been your experiences dealing with, Black men, and do you see some of these psychological things in effect what we're about to talk about?
Yeah. So I actually lived through it. I have an ex who suffered from PTSD, and he actually took his own life.
Lord Jesus.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, suicide will be a big part of this. Because people don't understand that Black men, I won't give away a stat right now. We'll get into the conversation. I got to bring in Tyrone pretty quickly, but I'm putting up the code now for 50% off. Body Butter Bakery.
Yep. Code MENTAL.
Thank you, Kym. Please stick around and give comments, and we'll chime in. That's the way the show works. We will have comments throughout. I'll share them with everybody. It'll be like a talk radio show, and we're going to get on with our discussions. But thank you so much, Kym, once again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, baby. Body Butter Bakery, everyone. That's our sponsor. 50% off code MENTAL is the jam. And we're going to fly in my wingman here, Ty Wilson, who's been waiting patiently. Tyrone, what's happening, brother?
What's going on? Is Kym going?
Kym's gone. Oh, did you want to hang out with Kym?
I wanted to at least say hello, but it's cool.
No, it's okay. Hey, Kym.
How you doing, Kym?
Kim,
did
sign
ask.
back on real quick so Ty can say hello to you, because I forgot every woman that passed through here, Ty has to say hey to. It's
Man.
It's like a Vegas casino.
No,
you can't just walk these streets without coming to this casino.
Nah, not at all.
How's your week, brother?
It's been good. No, I just wanted to tell her the topic that she was just talking about, the the suicide and her ex. That's actually the topic of the next show that I'm doing with my other good friend Kym, also Kym Franco. She runs suicide prevention for all of the Army.
Now, Ty, your shows are usually presented live on YouTube.
Yeah, they're live.
You got a bigger and better, awesome following.
No, I mean, it's just been a couple weeks, you know. How y'all doing? What's going on?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. The lineup tonight, guys, we're going to get into it with our social scientist, Dr. Leigh Willis. He's going to join us in about 12 minutes. And then we're going to have a discussion with him. And then Dante will chime in the second hour around 9 o'clock.
We don't need Dante.
We really don't need Dante. We got
I'm
you,
just
bro.
Joking.
We got you, bro. Honey
Who
Fun says we're actors. No, we're not actors.
We're not
I don't
actors.
know. That's fine. Yeah, but so Ty, you currently diagnosed with PTSD. You served for the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which branch of the military were you in?
Army. Year 25, technically?
Yeah.
Yeah, I joined in 96.
And so this is a topic.
Yeah.
But you were international PTSD, so we can draw comparisons when Dr. Leigh Willis joins us.
Okay.
And, the floor will be yours as much as anybody. So we can
Sure.
It's a heavy topic, but before we get to the heavy topics, I did want to talk about a few things that happened. Let's go through these headlines. First of all, the Super Bowl halftime show. First of all, did you watch the Super Bowl? Because last week you were talking about you weren't going to watch Super Bowl.
I mean, I was in and out. I saw the halftime show. I have mixed feelings about the halftime shows. What are those
mixed feelings, Ty?
So those mixed feelings, man, it's always about the dollars, right? It's always about the dollars. And, it just seems like black people I don't want to say we're being used and abused, but you could tell the Super Bowl ratings are different when they have the halftime shows that black people are interested in. Did you just switch names out?
No. I just switched the. No. We're gonna bring you up.
No, it's cool.
I just want to let everybody know that this is the rundown, and I'll probably switch it as we go through. Yeah. Let everybody know it's a Shawn Show, but I'm just glad that we got the camera reversed and flipped. No, I feel you. So, the thing is, Jay-Z signed on with the NFL, and he's the person who, in large part, is the entertainment provider. I guess because he has aspirations to own a team. Yeah.
I'm realizing, man, almost everything is about the money. Everything is strategic. You know what I mean? It's just all about how you're willing to play it and how you want to be perceived with it. But in the end, it's about the money. So if the NFL feels that they need to add hip hop to, 3 out of every 4 Super Bowl halftime shows, and that's what they're going to do, even if it is from the 90s. Because that's the generation that's paying the most money right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this. How much do you love West Coast rap? Or do you?
I mean, yeah, when I was 16, 17, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, is Texas considered West Coast? Paul Wall and them?
Not really.
Okay. All right, name like 5, 6 West Coast rappers then. Snoop, Q,
everybody that's
NWA.
On stage. Yeah. Everybody who wore all that hot
Game.
shit, all that black hot shit on stage.
Yeah. Dre, is he a rapper? I don't know.
Dre was more of a producer than a rapper. He rapped out of necessity.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the show was electric. I got more on the show at the bottom of our show. I do have a comment about that. I just find it kind of interesting that, Snoop is 50 years old, still doing Crip shit.
Well, that's his thing.
Yeah, that's his thing, right?
That's what sells for him. Yeah.
That's his thing.
Yeah. And smoking still.
Yeah.
But You know, what would he be if he wasn't smoking?
He wouldn't be Snoop.
Right. So
Just making sure that we're trafficking our man. But with that said, I'm going to rank my top 5 shows. I thought it was a great show as far as like the initial energies. Like, it's like, wow, these are, when I see black performers like that, especially of our generation, it feels like they're cousins of mine. You know what I mean? With that said, after about 3 to 4 minutes, it's like, y'all might be a little old doing this stuff. But with that said, you know, they used to have old white folks do stuff all the time. I mean, the Rolling Stones, U2, you know. So the age shouldn't be an issue there. But as far as the presentation and all that, it was different. It was like all that Cali shit. That tells you how much money black folks generate in general. That is mainstream. You know, like you got hoopties and dancers and dicky suits and all that shit. I mean, that's money. But I still think that Prince's halftime show was the greatest of all time. Are you a Prince fan?
Yeah, it's up there. Who else was good? Bruno Mars, I think, was good.
I thought Bruno Mars was probably the second best I ever seen.
Beyonce
might be the third.
Crushed it, yeah.
Beyonce did crush it. And I might put this one below Beyonce, like number 4.
Okay.
And
I don't even really remember him like that, so maybe that's why. Them shits wasn't even memorable.
I'll tell you this, I think Gaga's show was actually better than Beyonce's. I know people might beat my ass for that. And I almost blacked it out because that was the Super Bowl that my Falcons lost to your Patriots, 28-3. Because I blacked out a lot of that shit.
I probably was blacked out by that point too.
Well, you blacked out for a different reason because y'all were down like 21-3. The Michael Jackson Super Bowl show was kind of generic, and I don't think he sung live. Whereas Prince sung live, and it rained like a motherfucker. And he said,
"Oh yeah."
Yeah, and then the silhouette comes up, and he's playing Purple Rain in the rain in Miami.
Yeah.
The Janet Super Bowl is the most controversial and the most memorable, but I wouldn't say it was the most. It was the best one. So real quick before we bring Dr. Willis on, what is wrong with Kanye West?
Wow. So, how do I say it? He's starting to grow on me from a empathetic standpoint.
You're gaining more empathy for Kanye.
I'm gaining more empathy for him. I can't say I was really a Kanye fan back in the day, you know, but they're dropping a Netflix special on him, a 3-week Netflix documentary on him. And just watching the previews from the documentary, it just kind of hit me. It was like, yo, dude is super, super talented, right?
100%. We throw around
super talented.
We throw around the word genius a lot.
Everywhere, everything. He's been in a lot. And sometimes the people who are creative in that way, they don't think and act normal because they can't. They wouldn't be who they are if they did.
It feels like he's becoming more unhinged, Ty. You know, he's sort of like when I saw him team up with another fella who seems to be becoming more unhinged, like Antonio Brown. Like it's like, oh my God, these brothers are, you know,
So think about it. What's it gonna take for you to like tune into something that Kanye's doing? Right? He's got to outdo the last thing he did.
He's got to top his stuff.
Yeah, and the last 5 things he did was fucking unconventional, borderline crazy. So he gotta beat that in order for people to continue, you know, rocking with him like that. Is it his music? Is it his brand? Is it his? I don't think it's the shoes, but you know, Kanye's gonna keep Kanyeing, if that makes sense. Kanye gonna Kanye.
Well, his last album was, in my opinion, trash. So hopefully he Kanye's more in the studio because this joint right now is not working for me. Plus, he's giving me O.J. Simpson.
I don't think he's doing it for that. You know, there was a time where Kanye, you know, well, maybe that was his only revenue stream. So I feel like now, you know, I always say treat it like a 401k. You just keep contributing and adding different shit to your portfolio. So as long as we can keep talking about Kanye, even if it's negative, publicity is still publicity.
All right, so I'm about to bring up my man, Leigh Willis, Dr. Leigh Willis, who back, I want to say, and he could correct me, I want to say that was 2006. So I was a freelance journalist at that time. I just left my other newspaper, and I wrote this freelance report on the chasm between black men and black women.
Yeah.
And I just looked at the psychology of everything. And he was a really great person to as a resource, because he'd done all this research on our heady topic of black men suffering from PTSD, having high suicide rates, all of that stuff. And as I speak of the devil appears. Freelance report. Brother Leigh Willis, how are you, brother? Good to hear from you. Good to see you.
I am doing good, brother. How are you?
I'm good, man. First of all, that's my road dog.
Leigh, how you doing?
How you doing, brother?
Nice to meet you virtually.
Nice to meet you virtually as well. Let me get all situated.
While you get situated, this is Dr. Leigh A. Willis. It's A. Willis, right? Like Stephen A. Smith? Is it like Leigh A. Willis? Do you use your initial?
That is correct.
Yeah. And if I'm correct,
I do, but I just go by Dr. Law. That just captures it.
That's tight. Now, too bad you ain't a law professor. but I like the hat that you're repping. You see that hat? You see that hat, Ty?
Yeah, I mean, I liked them too back in the day.
Back in the day.
Dominator.
So Dr. Leigh Willis is our first guest here in the Body Butter Bakery studio. Once again, I have it pinned at the top, www.bodybutterbakery.com. Use the code MENTAL, MENTAL. You see it in the chats. You will get 50% off of any products from Body Butter Bakery, and she's only down to 3 units left of the aforementioned apple scent. Leigh, I brought you in because we wrote it, and Dante is due up at 9:05, folks. So be patient, but we're about to get deep. And this is a beer conversation because we're just guys talking about guy shit. Ty, you got a drink?
Of course, I got a little something.
Leigh, do you drink?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't. I wasn't prepared, man. I didn't know.
I can set you up if you want to run to the fridge. I can set you up.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get me some. I'm gonna go get some Uncle Nearest.
Ooh, look at that! Look at that. So as the sage man, he's gonna get him something to drink. Go ahead. Grab your drink.
I'm gonna give me something to drink.
I'll tell you while we talk about the topic here. So again, for those who are just joining in. This is a black mental show, and we hyphenated the mentals. And Dr. Leigh Willis is a sociologist, and I used him for what I wanted to be considered as a written conversation for an article I wrote for Iona magazine back in 2007. So 15 years of knowing that man, and he's a fantastic resource. And I'll let him get into more of the story, but he was just going home and in his hometown in Ohio. And if the story is correct, he went and discovered that a lot of people who were his contemporaries and younger were dying or killing themselves, and made him do some research as to what was going on in that town. And the research of that story made way to me, and I extrapolated it further into the segment about black men today. Now, that was a generation ago. So imagine how the conversation has progressed, or should I say digressed, on this topic when it comes to the state of black men and what's going on. So he's going to rap with us right now. He's getting his Uncle Nearest. I got myself a hazy IPA, which you can see because now my screen isn't scrambled like last week. And Ty got himself a little something. The other thing about Leigh Willis, before we get into his accolades, he can talk about himself. He's a big comic book guy. Ain't that right, Leigh?
Indeed.
We have to bring you back so we can talk about all this Marvel stuff. I don't like the current phase, but I think I think it's been spotty. I thought the Spider-Man was excellent though, and I'll get your opinions
Yeah,
on all of that.
these Phase 4 movies, who knows what's gonna happen. But remember, 4 years ago today, Black Panther hit theaters. So want to
Yes,
represent for a second.
that's right. Black Panthers hit theater. I saw it at midnight. I didn't even tell the woman I was dating, and gonna pour out a little bit for King T'Challa, and I'm gonna drink the rest of it. Cheers, gents. Let's have this conversation.
Cheers.
All right, Dr. Leigh Willis, tell us about your background, and we'll get into the conversation.
Sure. I am a medical sociologist by training. I have a PhD in medical sociology, as you would guess. I also have a master's in public health, in intervention development, health communication, and evaluation. So those are my big areas. I also focus on mental health. I just fancy myself as just a general public health practitioner primarily, but was really interested in mental health, interested in men's issues, in mental health in general, fathering, like all those sorts of things, because, I feel like there's a lot of other people who advocate for themselves, but there aren't, brothers, we don't necessarily have the advocates, and sometimes we don't advocate for our own selves. So that was something that I wanted to change, and that's kind of why I got into the health field. So
we have a question here, and Ty, if you could also watch the comments and bring up the question. You saw it. The big question from Honey Fun _ what the fuck is medical sociology? It sounds like you're trying to be funny, so you're not going to add to the conversation. But if you feel the need to extrapolate on that, Dr. Willis, please do so real quick.
What is medical sociology?
Yes, sir.
It's the study of the social causes and consequences of health and illness. So basically, how does society kill you in a lot of different ways? Be it, stress, be it maternal and child health, be it institutionalized racism, environmental racism, be it medical training and education, all those different sorts of things. Also looking at, health behaviors, why people, cook, eat, exercise, don't exercise, all those sorts of things. Those are some of the realms, kind of like a quick and dirty answer of what medical sociology is. So it's the application of, sociological principles to health and illness.
How does society kill you is the pithy statement there. We lost Ty, but you're still there. So, Ty, when you get your connection, please come back on. Now, Ty, Dr. Willis, Ty is a soldier who fought for our country. He's out of the Army. He's been in the Army for 25 years, went to Afghanistan, suffers from PTSD. Your studies have found that PTSD is occurring for men right now, Black men in America, domestic PTSD. Can you talk about that with your studies a little bit?
Absolutely. Just as you were saying, like your partner, experienced things, being at war and experiencing violence and traumatic events. We, as African-American men in this country, depending on the environment that you grow up in, you may experience some of those same, things. I have friends who have, lived in, areas where high homicide, high suicide, just a lot of violence, and have perpetrated, seen, done some of those things. And, as a result of that, there's a lot of, PTSD, like what has happened to me? How did I survive? How do I cope? How do I manage? Like those sorts of things. And it turns into a lot of maladaptive behaviors, such as, drinking, a lot of drug use, just inability to form, tight relationships with people. And part of it, one of the bigger things that I have found, and I've learned this, just in experiencing just general, just life events and things I've gone through in the past, few years, is that unfortunately, a lot of Black men, we still don't want to talk about some of the things that we may feel and the things that we may experience. And that's a huge thing. We think that we can do it all by ourselves, and we don't want to talk about it, either with a professional, let alone like our friends. Like, so I really want to commend y'all for having this dialogue, this real honest and open dialogue about men's mental health issues, because I think that it's a huge thing. I mean, if you look at it now, I know, like Shawn, you talked about the auspices under which you and I met in thinking about African American male suicide rate. Suicide and homicide have been really high in our community, especially dealing with the pandemic. We've seen that start to increase more and more over these last, 2 years or so.
Am I correct? When we did that story a generation ago, 15 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
Suicide amongst like a younger Black demographic, and I don't have the numbers in front of me because I've been running around all day, and like I said, I had a wake to go to basically.
It's
it
all
was like
good,
it's like the second or third leading cause of death amongst young Black men.
Yeah.
That is astounding. Suicide, the second leading cause of death amongst young Black men.
Yeah. I mean, it's been that way for quite some time, and there are some people that have argued that the high homicide rate are maybe reflective of attenuated suicides, where there's such a stigma around committing suicide in the Black community, such that an individual will put themselves in a situation where they'll provoke something where there will be a lethal retaliation, knowing that there will be lethal retaliation. So it's almost like an attenuated suicide, as they call it. So
it's a death wish. It's like,
exactly.
It's a death wish.
Exactly. Precisely. That's precisely it. And
so this has been exacerbated by the pandemic. And I'm going to let you get in here, Ty, and ask a couple of questions. But I want to put a stamp on this thing. The way we met, and the issue that I discovered upon doing the story that I was doing about Black men and Black women with you, mm-hmm. You had a study that you did when you went to your hometown in Ohio, right? By the way, are you a Bengals fan or are you a Browns fan?
Neither. I'm a Steelers fan.
You're one of them. Oh,
I am.
Okay.
I am. I'm
but you
a
like
very
the Buckeyes,
proud
right?
Steelers fan.
Okay,
oh yeah,
so you didn't give a shit when Cincinnati lost the way they did.
I mean, I was happy, that Cincinnati made it because they make it, but they don't ever win usually. But still,
all right.
I didn't have a dog in the fight. I didn't.
All right, copy that. Well, okay, so I want you to talk about this study when you went to your hometown and what you discovered amongst the Black men of your hometown. If that's correct, do you remember that? It was like a study of yes.
Well, yeah. I didn't necessarily do a study in my hometown per se, but just that there were a few situations in the area and a few people that I knew directly or I was 1 degree separated from, where there were these events where these folk had, these brothers had taken their lives, and they were of a variety of different ages, some old, some young, contemporaries, things like that. But what we began to see, just in this small, kind of area in my small circle, and I will say this too. My father, I'm a second generation social scientist. My dad was a cultural anthropologist, and he said, like, there's something going on, right now in an area and in our social circle that we're seeing this start to happen. And then lo and behold, I was able to find some information and get some data for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention that was bearing this out, that they were seeing a rise in African-American suicide, particularly among African-American men at the time. So that's kind of how I got into this, era of doing this research. And then from there, I decided that I was going to actually dedicate, my graduate school career into doing this research. And that was the focus of my doctoral research. And I published a couple papers, and I think that's how you found me. And, the rest, as they say, is history. but I still am very, passionate about, African American men's mental health. Since we have talked, there have been, more people who have started to focus on that issue. And there are actually some interventions that have been developed by like the National Institutes of Health that focus primarily on, men of color. Dealing with issues of depression and PTSD and, giving people coping resources and, things like that. And just even personally in my life, just trying to convene, different groups of guys just to be able to talk, about whatever it is that you're going through. There's no judgment, we're just going to come together and talk and just try to help each other.
We definitely got to talk more and getting men to open up about these things. The vulnerability piece, as women like to say, is important. Ty, I'm going to let you have the calm. What you got?
Wow. I don't even really know where to start. Where do you think I should start?
I think
it's a lot.
How about, it is a lot, and it's a lot to unpack, but we do have time. How about you go into what you feel when people hear someone has PTSD? I know you've spoken about this in different places. Could you at least explain how you feel? And if we have men who feel like you on a domestic piece, that's a good place to start. And then I'll let Dr. Willis volley that with you.
Cool. Sure thing. Well, my approach to the PTSD and anxiety has always been different. The way I feel is just, things have affected me in the past that make me who I am today. So my approach to that is that that's not necessarily a bad thing, unless I'm not acknowledging that, or I have no control of that, or I'm using those things to do malicious acts, right? If you're still a, good person, doing the right thing, treating everyone right, then it's just PTSD, right? You can have PTSD because there are things that have occurred that you had no control over, and that's just what it is. You're just finding your way to move on from that. Yeah, that's what it is to me.
Do you know your triggers, Ty?
Yeah, I do.
Do you
it's essentially things that I can't control. But I know that.
Gunshots, like
no.
Physical triggers,
it's not. Well, it's not even that. So it's not even that. So like the 4th of July, I probably wouldn't go far on 4th of July because I know how that's going to make me feel. But I know that it's 4th of July, so I'm not, I'm aware that it's 4th of July. Being in the passenger seat when someone else is driving, I don't like that. I don't like crowds. I don't like my back to the door. I don't like things that I can't control. Like if I'm out with my daughter and there's too many people around us, I don't like that. It doesn't mean that I can't handle it. It just means that I'm aware and it's going to probably bring some stress to me.
Got it. So you're more like hyper vigilant in those sort of situations.
Yeah, I'm very intuitive. I always need to know what's going on around me, but it's to a point to where I can see people with their hands in their pockets. I can see people fidgeting. I can see people playing with their hair, people humming to themselves. Like I see everything, and I'm constantly analyzing it all because I've had this fight or flight mechanism for a very long time, and it's hard to get rid of that.
Now, Dr. Willis, these sound like positive things when you acknowledge that you have issues, right? So, but are you finding, or have you found that the issue now with Black men is that the reason we have the suicide rates and the homicide rates is that Black men are just acting out instead of channeling that energy towards solutions? How can you juxtapose what I just said there to what Ty is doing and what you find?
Yeah, I think it's great because Ty is very aware of, what he is experiencing, and he knows what his triggers are. Whereas I think that some folks don't necessarily know what their triggers are, and they could just, go off. Not only do they not know, well, if you don't know, then maybe the people around you and your loved ones don't know either. So they could inadvertently, do something that may actually trigger you or put you in a situation where you will be triggered if you don't, necessarily know. So I think that that's a very I think that that's a very important thing to consider. So acknowledging or knowing that you may have things that you need to deal with and things to unpack, and that, you know, it might be a situation where it might not ever go away, but it's something that you can live with and manage, and then educating those people, you know, around you. Because like I have friends who have PTSD, and they will tell me, like, these are my triggers, you know, and I'm like, okay, like, I know that, like, when I'm with you, I will be aware of that. I will try to do my best to make sure that I don't put you in situations, or that I don't do anything that I know that's going to make you uncomfortable. And it's not to the point where I think that they would, you know, act out or do anything, but I just want them to feel comfortable. So it's about, you know, compassion and understanding of the people around you as well, to help you kind of get through things.
So when it comes to so Ty, I'm gonna ask this question. I'm gonna get back to you. So when it comes to brothers in America domestically who have PTSD, is it still a matter of they have to come to know that they have PTSD? Well, yeah, you go, Ty. Go ahead.
There's a lot to that. So the first thing is that PTSD is not just people who've gone to war. Like, there's kids in America that's suffering from PTSD and are getting zero support.
That's right.
Zero.
Just all around. So you're saying not just racially, but just people who have issues.
Yes. With everything that is going on, people's microaggressions, the way that things are promoted on TV, like, you can get PTSD just from being Black and having to think about being Black almost everywhere you go.
Right. I mean, not to interrupt you, but just looking at the events of the last, you know, 2 years with, you know, George Floyd and everything else, just watching the news was stressful. And if someone tells you that that was not stressful, I wouldn't believe you. You know what I mean? Yes.
So what I'm thinking is, we're not normalizing normal. I'm going to try my best to explain it. It just seems like for Black men, success is a high risk, high reward type thing. Meaning, we're not promoting everything that's in between. We're either promoting that you're broke, or we're promoting that you're highly successful. When they're not seeing success as someone that can be an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer, because we're not normalizing that. So what I try to do is I try to normalize everyday success. Like, there was a tweet that said, they were asking about people's friends who were making 6 figures, and people were dumbfounded that that exists. But then I was like, I can't think of any of my guy friends who don't. Do you know what I mean? But people seem to take that as like this extravagant, magnificent thing, to the point where they believe that that's an unattainable goal. But we need to treat it like it is, like it's normal. I've seen people online, they pass an exam for a certification, and they act like that's the best thing that could have ever happened to them. And they act like, you know, things are amazing. And I'm just trying to tell them, like, you worked for that. That should be a normal thing. The fact that you can attain something that you've worked for.
Sherry says, and I want you to attest to this, both of you, but I'll throw it to Dr. Willis and then to you, Ty. She says, one of the problems is that there's a great distrust of medical providers by Black communities. Historically, they used our bodies as science experiments. So what's being said is that the generic distrust on a historic level of Black people to go to these same folks who could help you has prevented you from doing things like from get a vaccine to get your mind checked out and get right. Do you agree? Both of you agree to that? Can you speak on that too, Leigh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, there's been a lot that's been done in terms of the knowledge base of medicine in this country and around the world has been done on, you know, people of color's black or people of color's backs. And in this country in particular, on Black people. So there is a very healthy distrust of medicine, and then you couple that with some of the experiences when you're going to see people who don't look like you, don't understand you, and don't treat you the best. I mean, that can be a very difficult thing to navigate. Hence, you get situations where people don't want to see providers. So I think that there needs to be some degree of, and I think this is beginning to happen now, is that there's a lot more cultural sensitivity training that is going on in medical programs now, I think. Now, whether or not people use it when they get out, that's a whole nother matter. But I think that at least a token attempt is being made for that. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a healthy dose of skepticism. But at the end of the day, if you need help, you need to go where you need to go to actually get it. So it's about finding a provider that you feel like you can trust, and that you will feel comfortable trusting your mind and your body too. So there are plenty of African-American physicians, African-American nurses, African-American therapists. And I'll say it, I am currently seeing a therapist myself. I am. I mean, I have no problem admitting that.
Yeah, normalizing the seeing of this therapist.
Yeah.
I'll throw it to Ty real quick, because I know we're short on your time. Although I'm going to ask you, Doc Law, can you give me 5 extra minutes? Can you extend until 9:10?
No problem.
So we got till 9:10. I'm going to do my radio summation here. We're at the top of the hour, and we're with Dr. Leigh Willis, a medical sociologist, social scientist, all-around guru. He's like a black mental Dr. Fauci here, talking about black male mental issues and PTSD amongst us. We also have Ty Wilson as my wingman, as you're known to see him, and he's also I won't say a sufferer of PTSD, but he's managing it. And I'm going to throw this question to Ty, and then let Ty moderate for a second. Ty, are you talking to people? Are you talking to someone on a therapeutic level? And what do you think it takes for men, particularly black men, people of our hue, to start opening up about certain things? You got it.
Yes. The first question, no, but I am looking for someone. The second question is, we mentioned trust, and the trust is huge. And finding someone that you trust that can also be influential is huge. We talk normalizing it. What I was going to say is, we don't talk about going to the doctors enough and taking care of yourself on a physical level. And I chuckled earlier because for 4 or 5 months, when I had the cough from anxiety, my mom was telling me, Ty, you need to go see someone. And I was like, it'll go away, it'll go away, it'll go away. And what's funny is because I subconsciously live with that distrust to a point to where I make jokes about it. When people are like, why are you colorblind? Or how, I don't understand that. I always joke and say the Tuskegee experiment. Right? It probably came down to me from the Tuskegee experiment. So subconsciously, I'm still living it. I'm still living with that distrust. We were just talking about the police the other night, where you were completely innocent, but for some reason, you kind of cringe up a little bit. And I feel like we need to normalize it being okay by influential people. I always say things like, if Jay-Z can get millions of people to get dirt off their shoulder, he can get millions of people to not cheat on their wives. He can get millions of people to go get checked up. Right?
Yeah.
But that's not where it's at.
Or just to go back to what y'all were talking about, about Kanye. I mean, it's clear Kanye is suffering from, he's at least bipolar. And this is just my armchair, diagnosis.
Well, the word is that he's at least off his meds in the bad way. Not in I'm going to wean myself off. He's off his meds and just saying.
Oh, yeah. No, he said that he wasn't going to take them because he didn't like how they made him feel. I saw that in the interview. And I think that, if someone like that were to say, okay, yes, I'm bipolar, I'm whatever, but I'm taking my meds, I'm seeing a therapist, all those other things, like Ty is saying, like that would do, there would be so many brothers beating down the therapist's door, you know, at that point to get the help
Hmm.
that they need. You know, it would be tremendous. It'd be
Yeah.
tremendous.
Yeah. Indeed. But there was, looks like, who said that? There was mention of safe spaces.
That was Sherry.
Needing to create, uniquely shared, creating safe spaces. I think it's the other way around. I think we need people who are strong enough to come out and say this is what it is. Because a safe space means like it needs to be a secret that you're saying it because you're in this environment, as opposed to saying, hey, it's out. This is what it is. I need help. There's really nothing wrong with me, but you know, there are things that affect me, and having that be normal, right? And not being frowned upon if someone was to come out with something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We got about 7 minutes or so left with Dr. Leigh Willis, medical sociologist and all-around good man, because he's bringing up topics that a generation of folks have long ignored, and that's Black male mental health. I know that there's some women on here who say, well, what about the Black female? I actually saw that, and I appreciate that topic, but I feel like one thing that women do more than men is talk. A lot. Women have different coping mechanisms. Now, whether those coping mechanisms are healthy or not, you all do have them because you're allowed to have them as a woman. As a Black man, you're supposed to be Superman and Heathcliff Huxtable, not Bill Cosby, but Heathcliff Huxtable at the same time. All right. I do have an update. I do have an update for those who are here to see Dante. Dante literally just texted me. Because of the nature of his job, I got the text right here. So I don't want to hear nobody saying it was false advertising. What's good, Shawn? Not going to be able to make it tonight. Still working and going to be busy. Lock in for the night. Apologies for the late notice. So what I mean by that is that Dante's not going to make it unless he shows up late if we run long. This show is scheduled for 2 hours. We'll have overtime if Ty wants to continue to chat. But we only have like 6 or 7 minutes with Dr. Law. And I'm going to bring on, hopefully, a surprise guest or two so we can keep the conversation going. And
you know what?
Conversations.
I'll stay on a little bit longer.
You'll stay on a little bit longer.
It's needed.
It's needed.
I'll do that, man.
Let me tell you something. That means we're talking some good stuff. Because Lee's like, look, all right, man, I got 30 minutes. I don't know. I could watch something else. But he's like,
I'll help you out, man. Like,
help
me out. That's what we got to do. Brothers got to help brothers. So.
And stretch me out because our sponsor, Kym Dudley, mentioned that the father of her son killed himself. And she's willing to come back and talk about it in the bottom half of the hour. She's the one that's sponsoring us right now. You see the pinned, very good stuff, bodybutterbakery.com, code MENTAL for 50% off up till midnight on the East Coast tonight. 50% up till midnight Eastern time. Yeah. And Kym's going to come back and talk about her situation right around the time when Leigh leaves us. I'm going to start calling you Leigh now because you decided to hang out. But I always want to give Black people who earned that degree their respect. You're not just some Black person talking mess. You know what you're talking about. You've done the studies. You've seen it in action. And you can see the progression or digression. So with that said, I'm going to ask you something, Leigh.
Sure.
What did you think about that halftime show?
Oh, the halftime show.
Like, I have an essay at the end of it. I had an essay at the end of this. But what do you think about that?
You know, I enjoyed it. I wish that it would have been like 10 years ago. Because I think with the Super Bowl, they're always late with most things. And I think that given that, you know, hip hop and Dre and all of them have been a force for so long, like they're kind of getting them at the tail end. I mean, I thought it was cool that they had Kendrick because, you know, Kendrick is still, you know, popping.
Relevant.
Yeah. And, you know, in many ways, he's taking, I love that Dre included him because he's like taking that baton for the West Coast, him and his, you know, TDE folk and all of that. I thought that it was great. I mean, I enjoyed it. You know, I thought it was phenomenal. I know there were a lot of haters, people that didn't like it and claimed they weren't going to watch, and that was
Yeah,
fine.
there were. Yeah. Is it top 5 show?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would give it. Yeah, it's definitely top 5.
Who's
It's
your top
definitely
show? Do you have a top show?
Prince.
He killed it, right?
Yeah, Prince totally killed that, and the fact that it was raining and he did Purple Rain, like that
God.
was just, you just can't script it better than that, right?
And Prince said, like they said, and we're gonna get back to the conversation. Prince said, and by the way, all of this will tie in at the end of my essay, so stick around for Shawn Says. Prince actually said at the press conference before the show when he found out that was rain in the forecast, and he said, "Can you make it rain harder?" He literally,
wow.
He's like, I'm gonna sing live. I'm gonna have Bethune-Cookman do their thing, doing "Let's Go Crazy," and it was brilliant. All right, so we're here with Dr. Leigh Willis, Leigh A. Willis, but we're calling him Leigh now, and he's gonna stick around until about 9:15, 9:20, and then we're gonna transition to our next guest after that. But so when we talk about creating these safe spaces, there are 70% of our audience last week were women, Ty. So Black women, are they responsible for creating the safe space? I know Black women hate to be asked a lot. They want men to be in good standing when they meet them. And they shouldn't be in the position to rehabilitate a man. But is there a way you think that we as a society can talk about how important it is to say, hey, brother, are you okay? Without making it seem like it's a bad thing to have mental issues for Black men. I know it's a loaded question.
I think it starts at home. I don't think we could, make women responsible for, our mental well-being. That's a lot of pressure to put on them to have to think about what this dude is like mentally, and I need to cater to that. So I think it starts with you. It starts at home. I think it starts, amongst ourselves. And, I mentioned that I'm not a fond of that safe place talk because it feels like you need to hide it from the world. I think your safe space is wherever you are. Like, I don't really care if people think I'm soft or think I'm crazy for talking about it, because I feel like that's the approach that everyone should have.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody at the same time, you are different. Everybody's different. And it could be that someone has to be in a safe space till they get to the point where they are comfortable and okay being able to stand out and say, like, this is, what's going on with me and I don't care. So, I mean, I totally respect you for being, able to do that and not being worried and concerned. But I think that there, for whatever reason, there are a lot of other, people who don't feel like they can do that. At least, not that they can't do it ever, but they just can't do it right away.
No, I totally understand. I've heard people say that, they worry about how it may affect their job, how it may affect potential business deals, people's willingness to work with you, even relationships, even child custody, things like that. So I totally get it. I understand, which is why I'm trying to make it seem like it's not a bad thing. I try my best to try to explain it in a way that people shouldn't look down on you. People shouldn't try to use your vulnerability as a weakness to target you.
I'll say it, like, fuck it. I'll say it. Black women have...
Come on, Shawn.
No, I'm going to do this real quick. Black women use terms like, protect my peace, girl. My mental is... Black women accept everything for Black women. There's another side to that coin. And if you can't understand that men need that too, then you're not understanding what the relationship is about. Men are not birth knowing directions to shit and having the answers to shit. We're people just like you. Now, we have to be formed and forged differently to be the man that you want. But we're so screwed up as a society right now. black men are catching hell from all comers and sides. And so I'm not trying to just litigate black women, but I'm saying if black women allow for certain spaces amongst them, they need to allow those same things amongst men. Now, I'm not the type of brother to say look, brother, you need to do everything that these women do. I think that men and women have different formulances. I just believe that.
We have different ways of being. Yeah.
Different ways of being. But it does not mean that as human beings, we do not need the same things, just in different ways. And so that's why I say it like that. So I don't want to tiptoe around that. Now, you may want to step away from that, but remember the views and opinions expressed by this show or Shawn Shaw's alone, as long as this is called the Shawn Show. Go ahead, guys.
No, I was just going to say, I know, recently, I lost my father and I lost two of my uncles, that I was close with.
God bless.
And, it's all good. And I'm married, I have a 5-year-old, and my wife, she would just ask me, she'd be like, how are you doing? And we've been married for 11 years, and I could just tell her, I'm not doing good. I'm just going to be honest with you, honey. I'm just not doing good. Mm-hmm. And she was like, okay, number one, the fact that she asked, that means that she's observed, that I'm off, right? Mm-hmm. Without me really having to say much. And she did ask me, and I told her, and she was like, you know what? You should think about going to see your therapist again, and she didn't say it in a way that made me feel less than you need to go talk to your therapist. It was not like that at all. But she was like, I think, perhaps you should consider going back to your therapist. And that was the little push that I needed to actually go back, and do that. So that's just food for thought. So what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that when a woman is in tune with her man, she'll know when you're off. And I'm not gonna say that all black women are gonna attack you. Some of them, I think they generally want us to be well, just in general. And so they will say, they will they'll give us the push and the nurturance that we need in order for us to get well. Excuse me.
Yeah. I'm kind of agreeing with you, Shawn, and definitely hear you, Leigh. Having a woman that allows you, that puts herself out there to be your emotional and mental safe space, that really puts you in a place where you would never want her to go anywhere. So just, I would say for women to just be a little empathetic.
Right.
That something may be there. And you hit it right on the head, right? Don't be trying to clown me because I'm having a bad day or I'm having a bad week. And you're just going to come at me man up. I'm going to probably seek, my mental and emotional safe place elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're going to wonder why I'm not talking to you. And it's because I don't feel emotionally safe around you.
And
exactly.
And what I will also say though, now, there's always a caveat to this. Women, that does not mean you need to engage a man who may not have sorted these things out. I'm not saying you need to fix a man, but if you're with a man in general, everybody's mentals are different, and understand and recognize that we may need to sort those things out if we're in a certain space with you, and that's okay. It doesn't mean we're about to turn into Kanye or Antonio Brown or whomever. Okay.
Right.
Doing the radio thing real quick, 9:16. We got 3-4 more minutes with Leigh Willis here. Dante had to cancel because the nature of his job as Deputy Superintendent of Corrections here in D.C., he has a lock-in that is actually difficult. We were going to get him on to talk about his observances with the youth and all that stuff, and talk about it on a more not social scientific way, but just actually observances of people that he's dealt with going through that car wash of the correction system. And so we will bring him back on because we're going to talk to him about a number of stuff, including y'all, Ty, hanging out at parties and didn't call me this weekend. How y'all gonna call me? What the hell? What you talking about?
Yeah, that's been a touchy subject.
What? Calling me?
Nah. Just the fact that we was there.
Oh, yeah, y'all shouldn't have. Oh, well, oh, that's a different thing. Oh, I see. Oh,
Yeah.
right. That's a whole nother thing. That's some Ready to Love drama. Leigh, did you watch Ready to Love? Does your wife watch Ready to Love?
My wife watches it, and
Did
I
she
think
have
she is watching y'all season, I believe.
Oh, she's catching up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great. She ain't got no opinion yet. So you'll inbox me when she has an opinion.
Yeah, I'll let y'all know. I'll be like, oh, this is what my wife said about y'all, you know.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I told her y'all were good cats, though.
Leigh, how often do you have these type of conversations with your core group of guys?
You know, like, I would say just depending on, you mean just like a free-flowing conversation about what's going on with us?
What's going on, Jay? Yeah.
Yeah, like our mental, I would say probably about once a week. Like, I have friends that I may talk to every day, just to check in. Yeah, I would definitely say that. And what they will say, what I will say to them is, I'm like, look, man, I really need to holler at you about something. Yeah. And we're to that point where we know, okay, this is going to be, you know, kind of like a pack your lunch. I need to listen, you know, be responsive, those sorts of things. So yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate. Now, I will say we did not start off that way, though, you know, and we did have a friend that we had a friend that passed away, and that actually brought us closer. We said that we would always check in on each other, that we would always tell each other that we loved each other, which is like a very rare thing, seeing black men in their 20s saying, man, I love you. You know what I'm saying? Which is very rare. But it was something that we said that we were going to do. So I try to do that and encourage that in all my friends. So I'm fortunate in that, you know, usually at least once a week, we may not get together as a big group. It may be like one-on-ones and things like that. But yeah, we do check in with each other. Yeah,
that's good. We recently just started making that normal, but it was the political climate and it was COVID that made us start having these conversations, and we realized that they were needed. So we started having them more often.
Got it.
So it's good. But it shouldn't take, near-death experiences for the work. It shouldn't take pandemics for that to occur.
Yeah. One thing I would encourage guys to do, I'm going to challenge both of y'all to do this, right?
Okay.
I used to do this when I lived in Athens, when I lived in Birmingham, and when I lived in Atlanta. I haven't really done it in a long time. But we would get a group of guys together, like about maybe 10 of us max, and we would just go to breakfast one Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And there was good. Because there's no agenda, there's no nothing. You can come and talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, and we have
with my core group here in DC, and Ty needs to start smoking to do this, but we have our grievances at the cigar shop.
Yeah, we get a stick, we go to the cigar, we have a good steak.
Yep.
That's what's up.
And we just chat it up about business, the family, all that stuff.
And I tell you what, when y'all get ready to come to Atlanta, let me know, and I'll put you on to a couple spots.
Okay.
We'll do that. We'll holler.
Hey, I think I already did a cigar social club, and I did Cam's joint, Fellowship. Fellowship is nice. The food is great, and the scenery is sensational. All right, we're going to wrap up here. As a guest of the Shawn Show, as a featured guest of the Shawn Show, and being such a great sport, Dr. Willis will get a signed, autographed hard copy of Broke, a novel of men trying to get it together, which is on this topic because I wrote this book about 4 guys of different statuses of life and their narratives of how the story is told. First person accounts, all 4 of them, which tie together, is done as if they were talking to someone on a couch.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's sort of it's sort of like black men expressing themselves with the freedom to express themselves, the way they express themselves with all the craziness that we do and we get into. And it's broke. It's available on my website at www.jsd.com for you to get a signed copy. Ty has a signed copy. He's still stuck in the first chapter, but that's all cool.
I have one more question, one more follow-on question.
Please,
for,
before we let him go.
Dr. Leigh.
Sure.
How do I phrase this? You know, you are a successful guy, right? How do you feel your success affects your ability to relate to the youth when it's time to have conversations like this?
Yeah. That's a really important question. I mean, I think that in some ways it's about remembering when you were their age, you know, what your hopes, what your dreams were, what people shared with you, what people didn't share with you. I think that in some ways they may see, like, you know, the kind of car you drive, the clothes that you wear, and they may think that it's not relatable necessarily. But I think once they begin to actually listen to what it is that you're telling them, that it's okay. I mean, you know, you can make money and still listen to rap music and, you know, do all kinds of like fly shit. I mean, because I used to think, like, when I grow up, when I hit 40, I'm going to be lame automatically, right? But, you know, now that I'm like 47, I know that ain't the case because I don't think I'm lame. I may be, but I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I think that can be kind of a challenge just in general, because I think kids, these up and coming generations are very different just because the world is very different. Like, we didn't have no Instagram. We didn't have no camera phones and like all of that kind of stuff, and people constantly watching.
I can still hear you. I think my food burning.
Yeah, cool. But I think at the end of the day, I think people are still going to be people. So I think that there is a way to cut through and connect. And I have been able to connect with some young people. And I have like younger like nieces and nephews. And so I'm able to kind of, they keep me young.
That's encouraging, because sometimes we don't know if these kids are listening to us. You know, we want to be old. We've become old men. We're all Generation Xers shaking our fists. In fact, I have my essay at the end of the show, Shawn Says, is about our relationship as Generation Xers with the young folk. We're going to let that be the last word for you, Leigh. It's 9:24 past the hour. Thank you, Dr. Willis.
Yeah, thanks, brothers. I enjoyed coming on.
Nice to meet you, man.
Please come back.
Nice to meet you as well.
We're gonna like keep abreast of this topic, but we're also gonna be sunnier as well and talk about the Marvel universe and if DC is catching up.
Yeah, and I will encourage you guys. Me and my boys, me and three other brothers, we have a podcast called Stuff We Like, Stuff We Hate, where all we do is chop it up about Marvel, DC, games, comics, like collectible toys, like all that. So I'll shoot y'all the link to it and y'all can check it out. We're like about like 40 episodes deep in it, and it's hilarious.
It just sound like some cool 40-year-old geek shit that I love.
Yep, and grouchy old black men.
Grouchy old black men who ain't shaved in a little bit and tired of all this mess. I love it. Thank you, brother, so much. We're gonna wrap with you, and stay black. Talk to you soon.
All right, love y'all, man. Take care.
All right, man.
Thank you. Really great conversation. So we are at 25 past the hour. Ty, that was a really good conversation. We do have Kym Dudley, who dropped us quite a cliffhanger. She's about to fly in so she can discuss a little further about what happened with her then love of the life, who suffered from mental illness as well, or had a mental issue that he ended up taking his life. Before we bring her on, just to recap, for folks who are looking for Dante from Ready to Love, our castmate, Dante is still held up in a lock-in for DC Corrections because he's superintendent of DC Corrections. He has to handle business. You know, he's got to handle the lock-in. We're going to bring him back as soon as we can. I showed y'all the text. Dante is not only a man of his word, he is quite a dude. And you talk about a brother who comes from Chicago. He has tons of insights about what's going on with our black youth and all that stuff. I feel like we're doing that old public public access shows. You know what's going on with the black youth. But what do you think about that conversation, Ty, before we bring in Kym real quick?
I think it was good. It's kind of, I think it's important, moving forward that we try to stay on topic.
Yeah. Yep.
It could get really deep. I felt like it was getting there. You know what I mean? I wanted to keep going. This is so much more to talk about too.
We're definitely going to bring him back. He only promised me like 30, 35 minutes. We actually stretched 45 minutes with him. But yes, we're definitely going to bring him back because we were just scratching the surface on all this. And also, this is a good time real quick before we bring in Kym for you to plug your show that you have on your mental health journey.
Yeah,
that's coming up on Sunday before we bring in Kym.
Yes, we have another episode of the mental health journey. This time it's with Kimberly Franco. She lost her brother to suicide. She started an organization called One Common Bond, the number one common bond. She's military as well. And part of her military job is to, she's a civilian now, is to run suicide prevention for all of the Army. So not only do you get to hear her story of suicide and how she's handling that, but also from the other end where she has to be the strong one and write letters and create cards and send care packages, and how that could affect you if you're spending years and years and years, sending 4, 5, 6 care packages a week, because it's suicide, not war, right? Not the military, not being deployed, suicide. And you feel like it's something that you could prevent, and there's a lot that goes with that when that doesn't happen. So we get to hear her story, not to say too much, but yes.
On a terrible segue, we bring in, but it's a fitting segue, we bring back our sponsor from Body Butter Bakery, Kym, who we're so blessed to have her share her personal story. And I'm going to just share with you what she said to me when I told her that Dante couldn't show up. She said she was willing to talk about it, but she didn't want to talk about it in front of her daughter, because this is the man that, this is the father of your daughter. Correct, Kym?
Yeah.
But we're so grateful for you to come back. Wearing that lovely blue, by the way, and that skin is effervescent. She is our sponsor, Body Butter Bakery. This is a crude sponsorship because of the topic, but she's willing to share with us her mental health journey with her ex-man, and there's a discount available, as you see in the pinned quote, 50% if you type in mental and purchase something by midnight Eastern time tonight. Kym, welcome back. Can you please share with us what you started to share with us earlier?
Yeah, so I was in a relationship for maybe just a year. It went very fast. He moved in probably, we lived in different states. We traveled back and forth. And he moved in maybe 6 months after we started dating. We had my daughter when she was 1. He decided that it would be a great idea to set the house on fire and hang himself. So I lost everything, including him. Everything we owned. And that was in 2010, and I haven't been back to that house since. I went and visited the house.
Was that the house you posted last week?
That was the house. It was actually my parents owned the house, so it was my childhood house. So it instantly went from being my childhood house to the house my ex passed in. It's no longer my childhood house to me. It's crazy.
So this went from, I'm going to just try to encapsulate this, a place where you have family memories.
Yes.
To a house of horrors.
Yes.
Now, were you and your daughter in the house when he decided to do this?
No, she was with my parents because they were both retired. They were daycare. She was with my parents, and I was at work. And the cops came to my job, told me what happened, and that was that. I was numb. I stayed in a room for maybe a year and a half. I didn't talk to anybody. It was a tough time.
Thank you for sharing that. And if you want to go, like, we're not going to keep you long. But Ty, do you have any questions for Kym when it comes to negotiating someone who has this happen?
If anything, I would say, you know, I commend you for being public and being strong enough to talk about it. You know, I pray that you continue to have that strength, you know, to be able to, you know, let that come out of your mouth. The closure, I don't even know if I can speak to having closure, but I hope you can get to a place.
I don't expect to get any. It's just something you learn to navigate around. You don't really heal from it.
I understand. But, you know, I pray for the strength for you to have, you know, continually throughout your life and, you know, for your little one as well.
Has it been a keep on moving type of thing for you, Kym? Just keep moving, one foot in front of the other?
The way I operate is I stay busy to not think about it.
And this is year 12, correct?
Yeah. But when you live with somebody that looks like them, it's a daily reminder.
You said your daughter does not know.
No. I told her about the house fire. I'll probably tell her that he actually hung himself when she's maybe 18, maybe 21, as long as I can hold it. Because I don't want her to ever feel any kind of responsibility for it. You know, like, why didn't he do it before I got here? Why did he wait? Am I the reason? I don't want to introduce any crazy thoughts. So I hopefully no family member will tell her before I get to, but no, she doesn't know. I don't think she can handle it right now.
Wow. Did you see any type of signs of this? Looking back, have you rewound it to see if you could see some signs of this man doing this?
I should have, I think, like explosive responses to small situations, maybe.
Volatility.
Yes.
Irritable and volatile.
Yeah. Yep. Unjustifiably so. And his mother is actually still on the street. So is it hereditary? I don't know, but she's bipolar. His mother is. So was he? I don't know if he wasn't treated for it or he didn't tell me about it. I feel like I may have missed signs, but like I said, we were together. Everything happened so fast, and we were living in different states until he moved in. So I probably wasn't exposed to signs.
How old was he?
Born in 1975.
Jesus, he was probably my age. He would have been my age. I'm 45, I'll be 46, and I'm born in 1976. So he's our contemporary, Ty, because Leigh was born in the year I think that he would be. So the men you're talking to right now would be around the age of what he is now. You're younger than that, by the way. Let's let everybody know this is fucked up. Like, she's younger than that, and she's all beautiful. And you see the skin because Body Butter Bakery, and it's Ty's gonna get a refill. But we're so blessed to have Kym not only sponsor us, but because we like to have conversations on good stuff. But she's also shared something very personal, and I hope you all are very respectful of that. But if you go on to Body Butter Bakery tonight by midnight, she's blessed us with a code 50% off, and the apple body butter is about to be retired for the season.
Yep.
She has three units of that left. CPI Be Real says thank you, Kym, for sharing, and her prayers are with you and your daughter's continued strength and blessings. And she also said that she just bought some of the stuff in an earlier post.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Kym's story, guys, is that this is a working woman. She was a cosmetologist for several years. I come from a hair family. You don't see it, but I come from a hair family.
Obviously,
my mom, cosmetologist, my late father, master barber, and I could go into that for other stories. So I know how tough that work is. A working woman down there in Florida, and she started making body butter out of curiosity. What was it? It was pandemic work. What was it again?
I was selling to private label companies body butter in 2017, and I just started making my own recently to stop buying theirs, and it blew up. So now that's what I do full time.
And she's been doing it full time since October.
Congrats.
She is absolutely. She is hiring because she needs some more hands on deck because she is a one-woman machine, but she cranks the joints out. You have not received a copy of my book that I sent out because I'm sending it very cheap mail.
Okay.
I already sent it cheap mail. Her stuff came out within 48 hours when she said she'll send it out to me. So Kym is on the money. And I know we just had Valentine's Day, but y'all could have found out last week. I should have told you. She also has edible body butter bakery.
I didn't mention, yeah. You
sure didn't. You would have sold a lot more.
I forgot about it. Yeah,
you know, a lot of women like the edible. Actually.
Yeah, and that's popping too. But you can buy that year. You know, Valentine's Day is every day if you in a real relationship. If you ask me, but anytime you can buy the Bay Butter, BAE Bay Butter. It's the edible with body butter.
The Bay Butter is available. Yeah. So go to the website, check out all her stuff. Once again, she's our lead sponsor of the show, Body Butter Bakery. It is tagged, it's pinned on the site. Code mental 50% until noon, midnight tonight Eastern time. We're 38 past the hour. Kym, thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to share with us before I let you go? And Ty, is there anything you'd like to ask Kym?
I'm good.
Yeah,
I didn't want to put a damper on your night.
I'll end up crying up here.
I'm sorry.
No, don't worry. We can get real ignorant real soon.
Okay.
So, you know, all right, so I'm going to keep you on here, see what you think about this. And Ty, this relates to you too. You know, we'll have our little banter before we close out the show a little bit. Does edible come with a code for man? No, why Divine 21. The edible does not, but someone just bought the Bay Butter. Miss Don't Believe the Hype, come back and tell us how it tastes. Giggity. So I have my announcement. I also promoted an announcement for the show. If you're living in the DMV area, ladies and gentlemen, the Soul Date, my dating service for Black and brown people, is back. And we have a date and we have a location. March 19th, if you're in the Washington, D.C. area, we will be at, drum roll, Kitchen Crave, Virginia, March 19th. Mark it on your calendar. Kitchen Crave, Virginia in Alexandria, Virginia, March 19th. We will give you the time. But I'll tell you this, they're already hooking us up with a special happy hour for our daters. And Ty, you gonna date?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Ty said he's gonna be there. Hey, Ty, you
I'll
gonna
be there.
Be all dated out by now.
Let me tell you something, Kym. That dating was not dating. That was some other. Some of that was some other stuff. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Our Ready to Love dating experience is way different from the speed dating difference. I will be the host. We will have live. We'll have some great music. We have a live DJ there. We'll have happy hour specials. So stay tuned. More information will come on Shawn Show and at J. Shawn Durham Inc. Kym, thank you so much, baby. God bless you. How old is your baby, by the way?
She's 12.
12.
Yeah.
Such a fresh situation.
It feels like it.
And one foot in front of the other.
Every
and
day,
women like you lets men like us know that you all are genuinely the stronger beings. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's important for us to recognize this and make people comfortable expressing themselves however they need to, so we can acknowledge problems and get things sorted out so we cannot shatter families. Mm-hmm. May God bind up your wounds and continue to bless you. Thank you, Kym.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, babe. Mm-hmm. Whew, Ty, some deep stuff, right?
Yeah. I didn't want to tell my story because I definitely didn't handle my suicide experience with a friend the same.
Did you not want to tell that story with her on the line?
I didn't want to say it. Yeah.
Do you want to? Would you share it with us, or is that?
Sure. It's probably not a good tone right now, but it is my experience. I had a friend who actually slit his wrist in my place.
Jesus.
And yeah, he slit his wrist in my place. And I just remember being upset. I remember being upset. I probably wasn't thinking about death at that time. The blood was coming out of his wrist like a water hose. And I just remember I remember being mad that he did it. And then I remember being mad that he was getting the place messy. So I distinctly remember saying something like, if you're going to, I was like, at least go sit in the tub because you're getting blood everywhere. And it was because, I saw him and he was just kind of just standing there like in the doorway. So I took my shirt off. I went to go walk, run up to him to wrap his wrist. And he was fighting me, like, get off of me, get off of me, get off of me, let me die. And I was like, damn it, go sit in the tub then, because you're getting blood everywhere. And he starts stumbling to the tub. And I was like, I'm going to freaking let my friend walk to the tub. And I remember this trail of blood coming out, and it was just going everywhere as he was walking. And then at that point, he was visibly getting weak and stumbling, and he'd been drinking shit. And then that's when we finally was able to snatch him up, wrap him up, and get medical attention. But that was my the closest experience I've had to suicide. And I realized that I didn't really want to say that story because my approach was totally different. I didn't. Fortunately for me, I had the opportunity for my friend to still be here.
He did survive.
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
He did.
Miss Independent Woman asked, what was his reason? Did he have mental issues? Well, clearly there were some mental issues there, but do you have a reasoning behind, first of all, what was going on with him? And
it was
secondly,
over a woman said, she don't love me no more. I said, what are you doing? He said, she don't love me no more. And she was sitting right there, and I was like, man, fuck her. Just like that.
I actually want to say your answer was proper, not the other totality of everything, but it's just a reminder. Then we don't know what in our minds small or trivial things may trigger other people to want to destroy themselves. And so when you negotiate your lives and your conversation with folks, that's why we need to speak love more. And we're about to get to my close. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And we don't speak love and compassion for people now. It's all about I'm doing me and I and all these pronouns, me, I, and we demonize everybody else we come into contact with. And I want to say to you again, thank you for the honesty of you telling a story where generically you would be considered the villain because of your cavalierness about it. But, we go through things and things happen to us. We're talking about mortal situations. And now we're left to deal with it. Somebody who has a mental issue now has put on your lap a mortal situation. And I appreciate you, and thank you for being my friend, by the way. And thank you for being so open. And people like you and Kym.
They be getting me in trouble sometimes.
Probably. Some people don't want to relive or relitigate those things.
Yeah.
John Bucksmill, Gmail's there. I had a friend who used to live on my block. He committed suicide a day after his twin girls had graduated from high school. Oh,
hey, hold on to the suicide stories, y'all. We got a good one coming up this weekend.
Yeah, so
I would love to hear all you all. I mean, I know it's tough, but if you're willing to share, I would love to hear your stories. I know Kym, who's going to be on, would love to hear your stories considering what she does, the suicide prevention. She would love to know that what she is doing is helping someone.
So we're about to wrap up the actual formal part of the show. And
But we ain't going nowhere.
But we ain't going nowhere. We're gonna have IG. We're gonna have IG extra. But
we ain't going nowhere.
But we're about to wrap for us to have our cut point for the podcast. But Ty, real quick, give everyone the location and time of your show, My Mental Health Journey with Ty Wilson.
We try to do them every Saturday. The times vary. This time it's going to be 11 a.m. So normally from 11 to 12. We'll go over because of the topic. And I just want to normalize the fact that things have affected us. And we have some really, really good topics coming up. I just mentioned Kym. We're going to have a men's panel with all of the fellas that have been on. And then after that, we're going to start diving into the topics for women. So Sabrina and Aisha from the show, along with one of my friends, Cameo, is going to come on. We're going to have a panel to talk domestic violence. And if you've ever seen them talk domestic violence, you know it's passionate and all that. So not only do I want us to talk about it, I also want to, in the end, find ways to either help folks cope or find resources to get better. And if it means we need to make a safe space and, having our lives, our IG lives or our YouTube lives be the safe space, then fine. For those moments, for that hour and a half, 2 hours, it can be their safe space. And hopefully they won't think about it too much once we end, because I know that even happens to me. Like I go to bed thinking, damn, like I talked about a lot of stuff tonight.
So that is My Mental Health Journey with Ty Wilson. It is live at 11 a.m. this Saturday. Saturday, right? But also, if you miss it live, of course, it will be posted on his YouTube page. YouTube channel. Is that Ty Wilson 21?
Yep. Yes, I'm Ty Wilson 21 everywhere, y'all. Sorry about that.
And guys, I have a YouTube page as well. That's J. Shawn Durham. Find me. I'm trying to get at least 100 subscribers. We're going to keep doing the show here on IG because this is where you all are easily accessible. But eventually the plan is to move to have our content based off of there because it looks better. But yeah, Ty Wilson 21. And we're going to wrap up the show. I want to thank my guests. We're going to wrap up the show, but we're going to also have overtime, and we're going to talk about a number of things. We don't have to just talk about this. But we're going to wrap up the show. I want to thank my test. Yeah, we ain't going away because we still got stuff to drink. You know how we do. I want to thank my guest, Dr. Leigh A. Willis. Brother, we're going to bring you back. That was really great. Like Ty said, we could do 2-3 hours with you, and we will, but we're also going to talk about all that stuff on your podcast because we like to talk about dope geek shit too. Thank you, brother, for coming and being a supporter of mine for 15, 16 years. We're going to want to thank, again, our sponsor, Kym Dudley. Not only is she the sponsor at Better Body Butter here, where she has a 50% off code for her body butter. It's delicious. It's sensational. The Bae line, BAE, is also edible. I think there's 2 flavors, I guess you could say, that's edible, but 50% off, and she's about to retire the apple until fall of next year. So you want to get in on that apple scent. And this show was also enriched by her experience by telling us about the father of her child who met an untimely demise. But she persevered. We persevere. The show's also brought to you by Broke. This is my novel, which is literally on the topic of men talking the shit out before things get too bad. It's hilarious. It's dramatic. It's men in a light you've never seen before. You can buy it on Amazon, but you'd be helping me out if you go to www.jsdink.com, and I'll send you an autographed hardcover or paperback. This show will be available for rebroadcast on IG tomorrow, as well as on my YouTube page at J. Shawn Durham. But let me tease who's going to be here tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but next week, if we do it next week, or our next show. And then I'll give you my closing thoughts. Everyone take a listen.
What's up? You know who it is. And if you don't, it's your boy Tommy Taylor Jr., actor, comedian, and international ladies man. Okay, well, I actually don't have a passport right now, but look, that's not the point. The point is, I'm about to be on the Shawn Show, so I need y'all to turn in and turn up. We're about to chop it up, talk about everything about So tune in. The Shawn Show. Tommy Taylor Jr.
I couldn't have done that shit better myself, and I didn't write that, folks. He said it all the time. So we got Tommy Taylor Jr. He's going to be our featured guest, like Leigh Willis was tonight, but we're going to have a panel of comedians. So we're going to lighten the mood, and we're going to talk the comedy game, folks. So be here ready to laugh, drink, and talk about all different facets of comedy. That should be next week, next Tuesday, we hope. Ty, you in?
Yeah, I'm in.
Ty's in. My wingman's in. I'm going to leave you with this final Shawn Says, and then we're going to call it, all right? So please, listen up. Listen up. We've had a great talk, guys, about a number of things. But I do want to get back to that Super Bowl show, that halftime show, because some would say that that was Gen X soul food. I'm not so sure. Watching the Super Bowl halftime show felt like a victory for Generation X. Now, that would be my generation and Ty's generation of Transformers and G.I. Joe cartoons and Love Jones and Hugh Grant, Julia Roberts movies, New Jack City, and eventually the East Coast, West Coast rap renaissance. Now, I call it a rap renaissance because I always resisted the generic gangster rap monikers. I always thought it was a short through line to coining all black men as gangsters in the land of Capone, bootleggers like Joseph Kennedy and Donald Trump. I still believe that fallacy to be ironic and wrong, but I also hold that both things can be true. It is gangster rap, and it's time for us to let that gangster shit go. Why? Because maturity means looking back on what our generation celebrated and being mature enough to realize that it wasn't all good. It wasn't healthy. It wasn't promoting anything except violence, misogyny, and, well, being a menace to society. And it hurts. I mean, it hurts to come to this conclusion. And after all these years, after all the immediate joys of seeing Dr. Dre commandeer a halftime concert full of name brand rappers and Mary J. Blige's thighs, thank you, Mary J., that made me rise to my feet. But then it got me thinking, we too old for this shit. Sorry, maybe it's the sight of a 50-year-old Snoop Dogg throwing up gang signs and crip walking in front of 100 million people. Maybe it's thinking all of the dead rappers and executives and mangled bodies and families and lives torn apart along the way, while realizing that Dre and Snoop alone are cumulatively worth over $1 billion. So they made their money off this shit. We have fond memories of our generation, don't we? Generation X. Groundbreaking hood soundtracks and movies, mean mugging, Spike Lee films, and The Cosby Show. But we remember things fondly as if it didn't have a negative effect on us. Now we are the age of leaders and parents and grown children, and we wonder aloud, what's wrong with these kids these days when we don't realize we have sown the seeds of more violence and disrespect amongst our own kind? Sidebar metaphor. If you've been eating bad things all your life, how is that poor diet going to lead to anything more than a lineage of diabetes and heart disease? As a descendant of slaves left with only the bad parts of animals to eat, black folks find a way to make the bad stuff taste good. That's a high sodium grade soul food, but you can't eat that shit every day. I ate it, but I was a young adult when I consumed it. And it influenced me. More slander and disrespect towards women, more testosterone running amok, looking for a fight, more confrontations, more fuck you sprinkled in my food. Are you following me, Gen X? We ate that stuff a lot. And now our kids, not adults, our kids eat it every day. Why? Because we think we got by on it. It can't be all bad. But we had a generation before us that gave us a more optimistic diet. Culturally, that cultural diet actually talked about love in love songs, actually showed us living normal, PTSD-free lives on a regular basis in our shows and reserving the violence only for an occasional, quote, very special episode, which were used as teachable moments. But now, I don't hear love in our songs. And all our shows are humorless, drug kingpin, hood, chess move dramas. Guns and bullets are shown more than hugs and kisses from parents. All of Harlem World is simply a ghetto. Black love and the notion of loving each other, my God, we don't talk about love at all, is a weird, hokey notion. And we wonder why we don't have any black unity. Listen, I'm not a parent, but as an adult growing up in Gen X, I was fed and I ate the new cultural soul food that, while curiously posing a threat to authority, like, say, the police and white politicians, strangely, only pull the triggers on other black people. Be it literal or figurative bullets. No white folks were shot. The black body count is high. Female disrespect is higher, and sodium in this cultural soul food is sky high. I knock no one from our generation that use hip-hop to gain dollars and get out of squalor, and props to Snoop buying Death Row Records, but one could hope we leave the gang references, the gun references, the woman-hating references out of this really bad stuff when we use our cultural seasoning to make it taste so good to our eyes and ears. But then on Super Bowl Sunday morning, I get word of a new Snoop Dogg track using a sample from the theme of Frolic from Larry David's Curb Your Enthusiasm on HBO. Snoop puts out another funky jam that tastes so good to my ears. It's called Crip Your Enthusiasm. I'm not lying. That's right, Crip Your Enthusiasm. At the age of 50, Snoop is still making money peddling gang shit. Maybe I should go culturally vegan, but all I know is that that shit doesn't taste quite as good. This concludes this cut of the Shawn Show. I'm going to play my fade-out music, and then we're going to stick around here. Thank you all. Thanks to Ty Wilson. Thanks to Kym Dudley. Thanks to Dr. Leigh Willis. And thank you to Dante. Even though you didn't get on the show, we will get you back. I appreciate you. And we out. Let's play the music, and then we'll be back for a little overtime. Love my sign.
Yo, there's so many things.
What you got? What you got, Ted?
There's so many things I want to say about that.
About what I just
I made a post. I made a post where I said, what did I say? I said, don't get mad. I said of all I said the way we constantly post the negativity about us, don't get mad when the people start to believe it.
Right. Right.
But then, you know, we're humans, right? We do have the ability to reason. We shouldn't be thinking that everyone is like that. But that's what sells. And that's what the kids start to believe. That's what the kids start to think is cool. And it wasn't just, you know, I kind of blame Beyonce and them too. You know what I mean? When they was on that soldier movement, everybody felt like they needed to be a soldier to get Beyonce in them.
Right.
I didn't forget about
that. That moved the needle even worse. It's like, oh, this good middle class, well-groomed chick that guys want has just rubber stamped what guys should do to get her. That's what they did. Yeah.
But like we're humans. We're adults too. Mm-hmm. So Jay's on here, and you have brought up something, you know, and we call it corporate thugging. You know, it was like our 4-year anniversary of that the time me and him went to a Red Man Method Man concert. Right? We could go concert, be dressed one way, and I think that's just the beauty of us. Right? We could be dressed one way one night, and then the next night, guess where we at? We suited and booted.
We can compartmentalize.
Winning awards and shit. Black Engineer of the Year awards. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we can be, you know, wilding out and then be a Bayer award winner.
Yeah. I think with what I'm saying is that, like, when we absorbed it, because we absorbed all this very adult entertainment at its very adult denominator, as young adults, so we were groomed to be able to take it at the time we received it. Now, everything that these kids are getting, it's too much too soon for them. They're not, and you know, what we see the numbers, there's more single parent households. There's more single parent black households. There's less. There actually is.
But there's also more black success. There's also more black people with homes. There's also more black marriages. There's also more, but that isn't the focus. The positivity isn't the
No,
focus.
I agree with that, but it also, like, you know, the murder rates are rising, and it's not white cops on black cop crime, not to the level of black people on black people crime. You know,
I think there could be multiple reasons for that. I don't think it's just because we black. You know, I think there's a lot of reasons. I think those rates are rising for everyone.
well,
Not just us.
someone told me that everything that happens to the majority of the mainstream is exacerbated amongst the minority. So it may be bad for them, but it's worsened amongst us because of that. So while there could be that trend line that you see of things just going down, period, it's really tough for us because we are the minority. We're not. Can we withstand it as much?
I just think we take it a lot harder because it means a lot more to us. It hurts more to see our people doing bad, you know, and killing each other. So, like, I can't explain it, but it's like you want to help so much and you want to dive in, you want to try to save all your people, but you can't. And then eventually, you know, you start to give up, but then you don't want to give up, so you keep going. And then that shit, you know, affects you mentally as well.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
I think the thing that my point is that while it's not just entertainment, what happens with kids, I think in general, like you just mentioned the Soldier song from Destiny's Child, right? Grown-ups have a way of saying, well, you better get on this line of thinking as well if the culture moves that way, right? So that means adults can be influenced as much. Now, the question is, do we have the wherewithal to withstand groupthink? Because groupthink right now, I think, is at a real splintered point. Like, there's a lot of good advancing groupthink, but there's also a lot of bad bullshit groupthink right now. And you're right. All the negative stuff is being reported. I'm just tired of seeing another drug kingpin show. Like, is that all?
That ain't going nowhere, man.
It ain't going nowhere. People love that shit.
It ain't going
They
nowhere.
don't even tell no jokes on the shit anymore.
Yeah,
Like,
I made well, it wasn't a joke, but people would ask me if I've seen certain movies. And I would say, I refuse to watch the yearly oppression reminder movie. You know, I just can't. I can't do it. I want to do it. I want to support. But, you know, the yearly reminder that, you know, we owned you at some point, or you're beneath us, or you're subconsciously inferior. I just can't do it, man. I can't do it.
well, this is you're watching Shawn Show Overtime. This is not the actual show. The show
Yeah. Overtime.
We're at Overtime. The show we did tonight was about black mentals, and that was a men's mental activity. Ty, as my wingman, I couldn't have a better wingman on the subject, but we also brought in an expert, which I'm prone to do every now and then, do some actual producing of these live shows.
Yeah,
so we brought in Dr. Leigh Willis to talk about it.
Maybe the homie Jay would want to come on.
Yeah, we could definitely have anybody. In fact, now the joint is open. If you want to come on and like join in on the conversation, just have a free for all with us. You down to do that? The actual show's been cut. Next week we're gonna have a comedy show. We're gonna bring a bunch of funny people on. We're gonna talk about the art of comedy and look at some of the headlines I've been snatching folks. Did you see the headline with Dave Chappelle and his opposing what they say was affordable housing in a development?
Yeah, I saw that, but I didn't read. You
didn't absorb it?
So I didn't read the whole thing. I like to read the people's comments because in the comments, people will fight for both sides of it.
Yes.
And then that's where I get the most information. So I understand them, you know. I understand them. It is an investment.
Well, yeah, it is an investment. So what I'm curious about, here's my thing though, and I got Jay Brown loaded up. So I see you, Jay. I'm gonna bring you in, and then you could chime in. But I'm gonna let Ty answer this. Well, here's my thing. Dave Chappelle himself has a $30 million comedy club restaurant investment in small town Yellow Springs, Ohio, right? He has his own investment coming in.
Yeah.
And he's gonna put his big ass Dave. I got his mask right here. I got his mask right.
Yeah.
He's gonna put his big ass Dave Chappelle C on it. Have you seen the design? It has a C on it, which means it's gonna bring in scores of people. What makes him think that he could just have Yellow Springs remain a small, quiet town when he's being a lightning rod to bring in people from other places so his joint can make money? That doesn't make sense to me.
It makes a lot of sense.
He's protecting his shit.
He got the $30 million investment. I get to say whatever I want.
But they got $60 million. They got $60 million coming for like some houses.
Okay, well then you keep your $60 million. I'll take my $30 million elsewhere.
Dave Big Willie in. I'm bringing in Jay Brown here. The magic.
Brown is the homie.
The magic of the Instagram should fly him in any moment.
Yeah. What up, Jay?
There he is.
What up, Jay? Tell the people about yourself. Tell the people about yourself.
Yeah, introduce yourself.
Hey, what's going on, man?
So they get an idea.
No, for sure. Jay Brown, work in the Department of Defense. Been friends with Ty for, good Lord, what's that? Damn near a decade now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do real estate and a few other things, but just, came on to support my mans and them, met Shawn at one of the events. Shawn's real cool people, so
thank you, Jay.
Always down to chop it up with good folks, man.
I need people to say that every now and then. Thank you.
Yeah, I like the fact that we talk about black men, we talk about success, so I always have Jay, Rob, Brandon. Some of my friends like to stay incognito about that, but it's needed. You know what I mean? At least to have those type of conversations, right?
Nah, for sure, man. I came in a little late on the call, but I applaud y'all boys for what y'all doing, because just like we talk about in a lot of our group sessions, it is rough out here for black men, and we are the least likely to talk to anybody, let alone other black men, about weaknesses that we have. So for y'all to do it in such a public forum and to give people a space to really air that out and then chop it up about what they're thinking and feeling, that's beyond doing the Lord's work. So definitely commend y'all boys for that.
Thank you, Jay. And your radio voice is better than mine, so knock that shit off. But first,
hey, y'all the ones that was ready for the show. Y'all clean. I'm on here unshaven.
Man,
got on my.
Anyway, what you gonna have
I got on my U.S. soldier from 2002 shirt on, like.
well, let me say something about that point that you made real quick. So I'm a professional writer, and I find writer grants, especially for scripts and playwrights and things. And there's stuff for transgender, there's stuff for black women, there's stuff for lesbians, there's stuff for all different stratas of folk. There are no grants. No one wants to hear just from a black man. You have to be other things peppered in there and identifies those other things. I'm just a black man. No one wants to hear from your black male ass. They're like, whatever.
So you know what? And it's sad, right? Because
I get none of them.
When I think about it, if you really had a grant for every black man that wanted to talk about the stuff he endures every day, you're gonna run out of money, bro.
That's right.
We gonna have to cancel some major programs in the government to cover that bill.
Come on.
Yeah.
But these are private and public grants. So these are like just going through the list of trying to find. I'm a creative. You're looking for money to do certain things and develop certain stories. No one wants to hear from your black male ass unless. Go ahead, Ty.
So Kym just made a good point about they're afraid of what they would say. I honestly do believe they're afraid of the strength. They are afraid of the unity. They are afraid of what we can accomplish, which is why, they're going to constantly try to tear it down.
Oh, especially
and it ain't going to stop.
Male thought, potent black male thought. They are really afraid of that because we'll tell them where
there's something about the ferocity that can be generated by black men. And God forbid a group of black men And we've seen that in history. We've seen that with the Panthers. We've seen that with other people, where when it's okay for everyone else, but when it starts to happen with us, it's a problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, gun rights was all good until a group of brothers showed up with guns.
Right. Where's the NRA with this Minneapolis story with the brother who had the gun rightfully there, and then the cop shoots him in that no-knock warrant? Where's the NRA then? They would be all over this joint or Plaxico Burress when he had a gun situation. They don't come to our rescue.
Hey, Philando Castile. Go down the list, bro. Go down the list.
Proper gun owners, black male gun owners. No, because their laws are designed to tell white people that it's okay to kill black folk, especially black men. They don't want to protect the black men when the law should be protecting them.
And I hate, I don't want to make it seem like that's everybody, right? And it's systemic, and that's the problem, is that it's everybody's problem, but it's nobody's problem. And I know, me and Ty joke about this all the time. It's easy for us to flip the switch and we sound like Malcolm X. You know what I mean? and to all of our white and other sisters and brothers out there, it's not like that. But at the same time, we get to a point where if we don't defend ourselves, no one's going to do it. Mm-hmm. And it's real easy to come off as militant when all you're trying to do is protect yourself.
Mm-hmm. Sister Sherry here, uniquely Sherry, and she always have great stuff to add. As someone in social service field who works with black men, it took me a minute to be okay with the traumatic stories that they tell me, because I had the false image that y'all were good.
And you know what? To her point, that's not necessarily her fault or an oversight, because we tell that story.
That's right.
We tell that story all the time, that we're good when we are not good.
We mask it. We deodorize it. We perfume it over.
Absolutely. And half the time, we don't know ourselves because we've never been good. We don't know what good is. Mm-hmm. So I'm okay. I'm maintaining. I'm all right. You ain't never been all right, brother.
Yeah. It feels like Thursday, right? Thursday, Friday.
What time did you get on the show, Jay?
I got on maybe 10 minutes before y'all wrapped. Y'all were just wrapping with the good doctor. He was spitting a lot of, good knowledge. And I agree with Ty. Y'all could have spent forever and a day on what y'all was going on.
Yeah, I'm trying to cut these up to where we keep it fluid and sort of act like we on like broadcast TV, so we have segments. But not thankfully, but it was just a happenstance. Dante couldn't make it, and he afforded us about a good 10 to 15 more minutes. And then when Kym shared her story, our sponsor Kym, and y'all please support her. You see the pin tag at bodybutterbakery.com. Just because the show is over doesn't mean that the discount is over. 50% off. Code MENTAL. And you can get yourself some of this sweet smelling stuff. And there's stuff for men too. There are beard and body butters for men. I used the Aqua earlier in Debonair. So please go to her site, check it out. And she shared a powerful, powerful story of the after effects of what could happen when someone ends themselves. So we were blessed to have that testimony there. And thank you, Kym. Again, thank you.
I salute that sister, because she, for one, just stumbling upon greatness. Like what she's doing, clearly, she said her stuff blew up, and I can imagine why. And she is a walking billboard for her product, because that skin was popping on the
beautiful.
show.
She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Kym, I know you're there. Kym, wave if you're still there. You're gorgeous. I'm like, damn, why is she in DC? Why is she on Ready to Love, Ty? Shit. I'm ready for Kym.
You talk about me shooting shots.
Look, I'm shooting Russian cannons over here, boy. Are you kidding me? Like, cross that border, just
Hey, Shawn, you better let that AK off, bro.
I got a couple of Kalashnikovs. I see Kym. She is there. She knows she's popping. All them white ass teeth, the chocolate skin.
This is 7.2% alcohol, I think.
That little something.
Yeah, that's strong.
My hazy.
So I'm gonna blame it on the alcohol at some point tonight, because this is my second can.
I'm on my third.
Which is why I brought up the Ask Me Anything session.
All right, y'all get down.
You
What
know,
question y'all got? What question y'all got?
since it's not part of the show, I need something to post to my YouTube channel.
Jay, do you drink? Jay, you drink?
Whoa,
Yeah.
that man asked do I drink.
So yeah. So let me tell you about Jay.
All right.
So I went the first time went to Jay's spot. He was like, "Yo, see all of this right here, all of this, you can have whatever you want there." And there was a lot of goddamn alcohol, a lot.
Oh.
He was like, "This section right here, you know, this section right here, you know, it kind of, you know, but this
Requires a
section
conversation.
right, yeah, this section right here, you know, I need paperwork." You know, I need to count my pores. You know what I mean? Because
you need G5 classification.
yeah, he's definitely, you know.
So
I mean,
I've
the first
become
time I shed a tear was because of Jay. You know, I got some of that Japanese. I don't even know the name.
Oh, hibikis, the hibikis and the Suntory whiskeys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I dropped had tried some of the Hibiki 21 that I have.
I've not had Hibiki 21.
Yeah.
What's that like?
I shed a tear,
bruh.
I shed a tear.
I can't. You just gonna have to come by. You're gonna have to come over.
Well, you know, I have a whiskey club. So me and my they're all Latin brothers. All my essays, my homies. Actually, they're not even from that part, but they're all my brothers. They happen to be Latino and married, so they just want to get out of the house. And we pool our money together, and we bring a bunch of liquor together and beer. We just drink that, but we'll pool our money together to get this really expensive bottle. We need to do a whiskey club. Y'all can come over.
We got one. The whiskey club is Jay's crib.
We're going to Jay's crib. It may not be formal whiskey club like my whiskey club, but we're gonna have a whiskey club over at Jay's crib. Y'all ain't invited.
So you definitely need to come through. We keep inventory. We've got at this point I want to say 250 bottles, something like that.
Ooh, Jesus.
Yeah. So
You see, that's my humidor right there. We could.
Oh, bro. Hey, we can get on them sticks too.
We can get down.
Jay said that's cute.
We can get down. No. That's a big ass humidor. That humidor is worth $500. That's a good humidor. That's one of the best things I got in my house. That Jack Johnson poster. You kidding me? I'm about to insure that humidor. What the hell? You got a whole walk-in closet full of cigars? I'm gonna punch you in the face and steal from you.
Nah, man. It's what? It's the 120 stick joint.
Okay, well that holds 200. Y'all ain't saying nothing to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've been smoking for 25 years, kids.
No.
Hey, Shawn got the crown on the cigars, man. Shawn got the crown.
I'll take that one, you know. But I got this rum here. You know, a black woman gave me this rum, Bumbu. She says Lil Wayne's rum. Y'all see that?
I've seen it. I've not tried it.
Well, we about to try it here on the Shawn Show after hour. Shawn Show extra. Let's see.
What up, Corey? I see you, man. Chocolate fruit.
Corey
Tim loves whiskey. Jay, you still here?
Yeah.
No, the other Jay.
But Jay,
another round Jay.
Well, Jay, since you popped in here, did you hear? You heard my closing remarks, my Shawn Says, right? What did you think about what I said about Generation X and all that? It was. I know some people might think it was contrary, but I just had those thoughts initially.
I don't think it's contrarian. I think that we as Black people are forced to live in a dichotomy a lot. And I think the thing that makes it very difficult is that we have a dissonance when it comes to the world as we would like it to be and the world as it is.
Yes.
And I think your closing thoughts really put a fine point on that, because when you start talking about the glorification of a gangster lifestyle, of, you know, drugs and all of these other things, you know, the question that becomes, is it art imitating life or is it life imitating art? And I think
go ahead.
It's a mix of both. And I think that's exactly where you were going.
That's why Spike Lee's movie I didn't want to go longer. You could go longer on this. Spike Lee's film, which is so forgotten, it's kind of like a silent classic, Bamboozled. And Bamboozled is a satire on a black TV exec. And back then it was UPN and WB, and it was the Shuck and Jive shows. At least that's what people said. And then it got to music videos, and like a lot of satires and a lot of Spike Lee stuff. It feels like it's getting messy. But when you look at it, 25 years, I think that was 1997. So 25 years, it should be 25-year anniversary, 25 years later, he's still on the mark, because what he's saying, there's a point where the black exec played by Dana Wayans, who's so buttoned up and he's clearly a sellout, has those black minstrel wind-up dolls that you wind up, and then they start doing things, whatever. By the third act of the movie, the dolls move on their own. You don't have to wind them up. So when you say, does art imitate life, or does life imitate art? The point is, the answer is yes. No matter
exactly
what. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's the point.
Yes.
And so that's why it's a brilliant movie. And that's sort of where we are. It's like, you can't just have sweeping. We're supposed to speak in 160 characters or less now. Twitterverse, you have to say something this way or that way. But a real conversation understands that in some parts, this is correct. In some parts, that is correct. What I can say for certain is this shit can't be good. And that's what I was kind of saying with that. Now, what other people can say about other things, and yo, that's my generation, all that stuff. All right, cool, whatever. Or you from the West Coast and you got an affinity to all that West Coast shit. All right, cool, street cred. But for people who are of this age still thinking that shit is cool for the consumption of young people, I have a problem with that. Unless you give them the context. And a lot of adults are not giving kids the context, whether they are there or not.
And I think that's what's difficult, right? Because you've got such a spectrum of black people in the U.S., right? And,
Yes.
and it really across the world, but in the U.S., we're talking specifically. And so when you talk about giving them context, you know, in some of the areas that, you know, folks like us live in, absolutely they need context, because they have to realize that that's not the life you live. But for those folks that are still in Compton, still in some of these places, they had context before they heard any of those songs.
Correct. That was their life. That
was their life. And what I appreciate about Snoop, crip walking and throwing C's on, you know, the Super Bowl, was it is so rare that black men especially are able to remain themselves, be true to themselves. And what I got from that was that Snoop is so many different things now. He can go from having a show with Martha Stewart where they're cooking in a kitchen to crip walking at the Super Bowl, and Crips respect him still. Snoop could give a green light right now on somebody, and I bet you they show up missing.
Dude, Snoop does a game show on TBS. They'll film it in 2 weeks. He'll make like $5 million from it from jump. Snoop, I always told people, no matter what you think about him, Snoop Dogg and Sam Jackson are the two freest black men in America. Because everyone knows, you can sort of expect what and Charles Barkley. Those are the three freest black men, because they say whatever the hell they want, whenever they want. And they don't worry about the repercussions, because they're not going to be canceled, because they're fucking Snoop Dogg, Sam Jackson, and Charles Barkley. And they don't have to put up a front for anybody.
I heard Snoop just bought Death Row.
Yeah, and that was sort of like the news
Death Row.
That was the news germ going into the show, the halftime show. That it was released like Friday. That information. Yeah. We don't know how much it costs, but he got it.
And he's about to buy. His. What do you call it when you buy all your masters?
Well, buying up the Death Row, he acquired a great deal of masters from himself and other people's masters. So now Snoop is moguling. And then he talks about wanting to be the leader in NFTs. I love hearing shit like that. I really do.
Yeah, he just made $44 million off NFTs.
Yeah. Snoop is thinking to the future, because when you have a lot of money, you can find a way to make future money easy. So he don't have to start from the ground or nothing. Now, I will say this. The only thing I have a problem with is, like, if you still got like bullshit like Crip Your Enthusiasm, I'm tired of saying Crip and Blood. I'm tired of that shit. I need to say.
Right, it's what sells, man.
It is what sells.
So
It's what sold.
They made a show called All My Baby Mamas.
But we've been so removed from Snoop as a gang member.
And we allowed that.
So we needed this.
I think the problem with all of that is who makes the money. That's where I have an issue, right?
Well, at least Snoop will make the money here. Snoop will make the money here.
And that's my point, right? So when that money gets made, and Snoop is able, because he never left supporting the hood. He's been coaching out there. He's been doing all kinds of things out there. And, you know, part of the conversation you guys had earlier was about being able to relate to the youth, right? Snoop, there are a lot of things that were he to change them about himself, his ability to connect with people, especially the people that he needs to reach, would be gravely damaged. And so I see part of what he does as far as, you know, again, Crip walking during the Super Bowl and some of these things that, you know, allows him to connect in ways that no one remotely close to having that level of reach, that level of resource could do. And so if it means that, you know, a few folks are, you know, potentially upset or see it, you know, in a bad light, I think we're still net gain on that.
Well, with doing the radio thing, we're at IG Overtime, Shawn Show Overtime. Ty is here. Brother Jay is here. Brother Jay is adding immensely to the conversation, adding more depth to just these flat opinions from yours truly and everybody else. And we're really rolling up our sleeves into the conversation. If you missed the show tonight, it will be available on IG tomorrow. But more importantly, I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel at J. Shawn Durham because I need subscribers. And the topic was about Black mental health. It was a really good discussion. We had Dr. Leigh Willis on there. We had Kym Dudley, our sponsor, really get in there. Ty, there was a question that was phrased to you, another round _JS. Tyrone, how has listening to others' story journey helped you discover more about yourself, if it has at all? Really good. That's
a really good question.
Really great question.
I think listening to other people's stories has just made me a lot more empathetic. I felt like I was always very empathetic anyway. I felt like when it came to my own life, I was already at a good point in discovering who I am and why I'm that way. So now hearing other people's stories, what I try to do is I try to help them be better, if that makes sense. So I don't want to say like I'm trying to be their therapist, but in a way I am, because the way that I phrase my questions are phrased in a way where I'm allowing people to tear themselves down. I'm allowing people to discover who they are, and then towards the end, I allow people to, you know, speak to the good things about themselves. So they're actually, you know, going through the whole journey of, you know, figuring out who they are, tearing themselves down, and then building themselves back up. So you'll see, like in my talks, I ask them, how you doing? And then I'll ask them who are you, right? And then at the beginning, it's always some little quick answer that you would give in the interview. But then when I ask them again, after we've been talking for an hour and a half, they're like, so, you know, tell the people who you are, or something like that. So the way that they even speak about themselves is totally different. And for me, at that moment, when I see that, I'm like, you know what? I did what I was supposed to do here.
The question, because it became a big part of the conversation. Like young Black men, the leading cause of their death was suicide, and some people join it up with homicide. Have you, and how have you entertained those thoughts in your
suicide?
Yeah, in your mental health journey? Have you, and if so, how have you?
You know what? I'll share with y'all. I have
You
a
share
story.
quite a bit, by the way. You know, ain't he, Jay?
Nope,
Like
nope.
this is sharing. Like you
This
ain't
is
sharing everything, but I know it's the tip of the iceberg. But you share
this is
quite a
gonna
Hey,
bit.
look,
sound
Ty wears heart on his sleeve, man. So he gonna give it to you.
All right, let's hear it
this
then,
sounds
Ty.
really crazy, but it really, really happened to me. I don't think I've ever told anybody this. I remember being home in Korea. I made a big ass bowl of popcorn, and then I put a knife at the bottom of that bowl. And I said, if nobody walks in by the time I finish this popcorn, and lo and behold, motherfucking Los walks in, reaches for the popcorn, and then sees the knife.
Jesus, Ty, you don't have to give us these damn deer hunter scenarios where like you put a knife at the bottom of a bowl of popcorn.
That shit really happened, man.
And that was your time frame to decide
Yeah.
whether you were gonna do something. And your sister's on the line. Hey, sis, how you doing?
Oh shit.
Oh, Alicia.
Oh shit.
Alicia just popped in.
Yeah. So So
Now, Ty, you can't just give that story without some context, right? So,
Yeah, get on.
you know, having, you know, I served in Korea too, so I know about that loneliness of being overseas. And
I felt, what's the best? I think it's like I felt trapped, right? I felt like I'm stuck on this island, and the journey to get home, at a minimum, is like a 19-hour journey to even get home. And it wasn't like me thinking that I was going to do it per se. You know what I mean? You know, sometimes you want to feel like someone cares or someone's watching, even if it's spiritually, you know?
so,
and it was
you
just,
know,
yeah.
I was going to say, and I only because I have some context of just having served, and I think to help people understand, because, you know, you were I was there in 2001 to 2003.
Were
I don't
you
remember
also
when you were there.
Army, Jay?
I was also Army.
Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead, Karen.
But I know for me, right, like, you know, this was a time where like all this internet shit that we got, like that was not the case back then. All this Google Translate and all of this other shit. So if you think you're just going up and I'm a sightsee and I'm a Google Translate and that's not how it was back then. So when he talks about being stuck, like you were stuck, like you talk to the people in your unit, and that's pretty much it. You might go out on the weekend and, you know, there's, locals and other people that maybe speak a little bit of English, but it's a really kind of lonely feeling, especially if you're not getting along with people that are in your unit.
There were few release valves, so to speak. Not as being release valves as far as how to
it's gonna sound bad. I don't want this to sound ass holy.
You said a lot of things that sounded as holy, but you always pull it off. So carry on, bro.
There was a period there in Korea where, you know, I was making that transition from, you know, being American to embracing the culture, like fully embracing the culture.
Gotcha.
And then until you fully embrace it, like you're like ignorant to a lot of shit. And then you start saying things like, everybody got the same name, right? Everyone looks the same, right? Everywhere I go, I see the same signs. Like, I don't know. Like, once you leave post, you're in Korea. So no matter what city you go to in Korea, it's all Korea. It's not like downtown Boston or East Boston or Dorchester and Jamaica Plain. It's just all foreign to you.
You gain xenophobia because you just start to get homesick at the same time.
Right. So if you're just there, and I was living off post, so it was just me by myself. I wasn't even in the barracks. So I didn't have, you know, the folks that I could lean on or go to the next room. You know, they had to come see me. And if no one was coming to see me, you start to feel like no one cares. And then to talk to anyone at home, everyone at home is asleep because they're in a totally different time zone. They're on the other side of the world. And we ain't emailing, you know, at the time. By the time you hear someone, you send a letter, you got to wait a week to get a response.
Yeah, it was a very different time, and
Mhm.
and it doesn't help, especially in homogeneous cultures like Asian cultures, where when you leave, sometimes for some of those Koreans, you may have been the first black person they've seen
Yeah.
ever,
Mm-hmm.
other
Ever.
than on TV,
Yeah. And
ever.
you don't
So
play basketball.
right, and so it's not uncommon for people to stare at you and for you to wear that you are different every time you leave post.
Mhm.
So I lived in the barracks. So I can't even imagine what you were going through at that time.
living in the
Living in
country.
Korea.
We are 37 past the hour. This is IG overtime for the Shawn Show. The show is over. The actual show was on mental health, and a couple of announcements, including speed dating happening if you're here in the DMV at Kitchen Cray. So the soul date Cray, my soul date, my speed dating event.
March 19th.
March 19th. That's the Saturday, March 19th. After the brunch hour, we're nailing down the hours. We will have a happy hour with appetizers and drink specials for you all. And Ty is going to be one of my daters, and I got a special dater that's going to join that I can only reveal after a few weeks from now. With that said, just stay tuned. It's going to be through Eventbrite, March 19th. You'll see information here and on at JShawn Durham Inc. For those who don't follow me, go ahead and follow me.
Yeah.
Follow me at
Yeah.
JShawn Durham on what?
Paul.
To take pictures. Oh, shit. There's Paul. Paul's still on the show, so he can't talk too much except about his life. He can't talk about the show much because,
He cleaned it up. He said he'll be there, but to take pictures.
All right, Paul. If you want to be there to take pictures, I dig it. P.O.'s going to be there, y'all. Jay, what'd you think about this man on the
Fernando.
show?
Fernando said he'll pull up.
Fernando will pull up? Oh, yeah. We might have all sorts of to love despots. Ready to love ready to love castaways on that show. and Fernando's like, I'm still trying to look for love. You willing to make the drive, bro? Come on. We'll have you. So, Jay, tell us about what your thoughts were when Ty was on the show.
Kitchen Cray, Alexandria.
So yeah, by the way, for you Instagram freaks, that's Kitchen Cray, Kitchen Cray, Virginia. That's Kitchen Cray, Virginia. Follow that site, and they will have the information, and we will have the information as we move forward.
I don't know why she asking me, Alicia, you grown.
Can I go, Ty? Alicia,
that's my sister.
Alicia can come. Y'all men in
Alicia gonna be
USA,
on the spot.
Yeah, y'all men in USA dating shouldn't be difficult. Sherry's saying this shit as a Canadian, as an Afro-Canadian, so she ain't got no black man to look forward to. Oh, damn, gotta take a flight. Yeah, come on, Chocolate Fruit 10. But question was for you, Jay. By the way, real quick before I get on this Lil Wayne rum, it's buttery. It ain't bad, but it has a buttery finish. And it almost feels like I'm tasting butter with the sweetness of the rum. So it's not bad. It's an interesting mix. Jay,
what would you price it? What would you price it per pour? That's my last question.
What would I price this little per pour?
It's rum.
It's rum, but we're in DC. Ooh.
True.
I would go $9. It doesn't make $10 yet. A drink. $9.
That's very telling.
Yeah, it is. It is. I ain't gonna act like it's the best damn thing in the world. It's the best damn thing in the world because it's
very
free,
telling.
and they didn't even sponsor the show, but it is free.
Basically, you just said, "Side."
It's side. Thank you. I was looking.
I ain't
for
gonna
the price.
throw it away. It's side.
Ty, I was literally looking for the price point to say side. I didn't know it yet. I'm like, I can't give that motherfucker $10 class. It ain't even $10 class. You know.
Yeah.
Jay, anyway, what do you talk about when it comes to Ty? What can you give us about Ty, and what were you surprised about on the show with Ty?
Shit.
This dude, man.
I love when they start to say shit says, this dude, man. That's great.
So I'm going to set the scene. This is probably winter, the winter before the season came up.
All right.
and they put out the advertisement that they were looking for people for the show. So Ty gets that grin that Ty gets. He's like, I'm gonna apply for the show.
I'm finna go.
I'm gonna do it. And then we don't hear nothing for a minute. And then he comes back with that same Ty grin. He's like, your boy's gonna be on the show. So I'm like, oh shit, here we go. So I go into straight up, offensive line coordinator mode. I'm watching game film, bro. Watching game film. And I mean, it's a team. Alicia's ready to do the wardrobe. I'm watching game film. And I'm just watching how the show progresses every time. And I'm like, yo, okay, if you're going to last on this show, there are a couple of things that you do not do. First thing you don't do is pick someone and stick early.
You know what the first thing he did?
So when I actually watched the show,
Jay, he said,
what the fuck are you doing?
Jay said, don't stick someone and find them early. And you said, Ty said, got it, coach. Hey, what's up, girl? I want you to be my wife. No, nigga, that's the last thing you should do. I just told you. Got it, coach.
I told this dude to run a button hook, and he ran straight to the other end zone.
He ran a fly pattern. No. It's supposed to be a 12-yard hook. And he ran it was a goal pattern, right?
I'm running a fade, bro.
We're doing a 2-minute drill.
And I mean, he running hard. He running like the dude from Get Out in the backyard.
So we don't need to even ask what rules 2 and 3 were, do we, Jay? Shit.
I mean, at that point, it didn't even matter, bro. I was like, oh man.
God dang it, Ty.
It's so it was cool. It was funny. Now it's a joke, right? But Ty would be real awkward with the camera. It was like every time the camera would catch him, he would have this weird look on his face. And so, like, every time I watch it, I'm just like, yo, what are you doing? So all his close homeboys, we got to roast him a little bit, just with some of the stuff. And part of it is just because we know him, and I think some of the parts of the show really captured the essence of him, but then other parts of the show were just completely, a different view of him that I don't think was necessarily representational, because just like in these chats here, Ty is super easy to talk to, yes. Super articulate, yes. Super smart, everything flows. There's nothing awkward, right?
You wouldn't know.
But yeah, you wouldn't know, but he's on the show, and the camera creep up and he hitting one of these, look.
That's probably because he wore a sweater for the Yukon in 95-degree weather.
Bro, Alicia, if you was there, I was like, yo, you're fired. What are you doing, son?
Alicia was good on the colors.
Alicia was team swag, yo. She was the leader of team swag.
She was hoping they would be in air conditioning. It was,
yo.
Ty, you didn't melt into caramel into that damn sweater.
Team Swag had his pits straight moist out there in that sun.
Yes. We are 10:45 past the hour, 15 up to the next hour. This is overtime, IG overtime for the Shawn Show. Ty's got his show coming up. Another my mental health journey on YouTube. Go to Ty Wilson 21 to subscribe to his channel. Great conversations like the one we had tonight will be amplified there, because no one cares more about these subjects and handles them with such depth and integrity than Ty Wilson. Right now, we're just roasting Ty because Jay's on with him, his boy.
Yeah.
And
so Alicia.
and Alicia's here.
So Alicia was on Jay. Oh, not to cut you off,
no,
Shawn.
Go for it, Ty. Go for it.
We ended up. So I know Jay was probably trying to be discreet about it, because I don't know if he saw last week, but we ended up talking about King Booth and revealing King Booth last week.
So I take partial responsibility for that, because I said something to my wife and she was on, And so, you know, she never left roast and tie mode. So she was on there to just cause havoc. When that King Booth came on, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna talk about that later."
Real quick, Ty Ampersando Ellipsis says, you know that girl
Yeah,
lost
I
a
saw
server
that.
an
But
hour ago.
actually,
She's been all in your mouth.
it's actually
MOUF.
been pretty good though. Like y'all need to get this.
Is it that old
This
lady
React.
Ventine that they give you?
It's this React Mint.
Oh, that shit's good.
Yeah, it's still here. The flavor's still good.
That shit's good. I'm going to get a refill. You guys have the mic. I'm going to get a refill of my beer.
Yeah,
Right back.
Cool. So Masato, another one of my friends, Jay, he was clowning me, of course, basically saying he team Walter. Basically, he team whoever, not Tyrone.
Man, that's a hater.
So like week 1, week 2, he was like, "Yo, can you slap somebody or something so you could get some screen time because your ass is way too nice right now." And then he had said something else about the comments, and he was like, "These people really don't even know, but if they really knew you, they would have a whole lot more material to clown your ass."
No, that's
to clown your ass about. Oh man.
I think that's what's hard about that show is that, you know, everybody, you know, you don't make it that far without being, you know, a dynamic, you know, charismatic person. And so I can only imagine how hard it is to try to, you know, make the show interesting, you know, develop everybody's character so that people who don't know these people can actually, you know, try to get to know at least a little bit about them. And so, yeah, if you're not, you know, part of a main plot point, I can see how it's easy to, you know, people fade into the background. If people knew you, like, you would have definitely had more screen time for sure.
I subconsciously like wanted to do something else while I was there. Like I was trying to, I don't know, I guess I wanted to push an agenda that you can create a queen, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you got to explain
because it just seems like everywhere we go, it's always about who can get the most chicks, right?
Who's the so-called player?
And I wanted it to be about,
my man,
you know,
good to see you,
finding a woman, creating a queen, and then now we're just competing queens. But as we're competing, we're just, I don't know, we're treating women right. We're building them up because, I don't know. It's hard to explain right now since I'm on my third. My third something. But you sober, Jay.
Yeah, I was about to say, if I get, you know, if I'm picking up what you're putting down, I think, for one, just, you know, we talked about all the negativity, right? So how do you not make this situation a negative situation, right? When there's so many positive aspects, positive things about the people that are there, and not make it, you know, a show that's just drama, right? And so I think it is interesting to talk about how do you know, compete with queens, if you will, right? As far as how do you show these different aspects of men trying to find the things that matter, supporting the women in the way that they need to be supported, and building those things from the ground up, and almost doing it in a competition type of way where they're not doing it just for the show, just for whatever, because that's how things naturally happen, right? It's just on a sped up timeline. So how do you show those concurrent things as they're happening and all the positive things that happen to get there? If I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, so I wanted to be the opposite of the player, if that makes sense. Because I think we talked about this, like the player always will get the screen time and then gets roasted in the end. But I felt like I would still be okay if you know, if I made a valiant attempt to be the good dude, but still ended up losing in the end, then I could still push the good dude agenda and have that be okay. Right? Like, it's okay to be a good dude.
Kym,
and like, yeah.
Go ahead, Ty. I'm sorry. Kym,
No, go ahead.
I see you got questions. So, Kym, if you want to rejoin, feel free to just join back in. I got Carrington and friends. What's up, Carrington? That's our castmate. So, Kym, if you want to rejoin, feel free. But if not, I'll just answer your questions here. I do have a question for you, Ty, real quick. Why not just be yourself? Why you felt like you had to portray a certain thing as opposed, because there are some people on our show who now in retrospect seem to have gotten in trouble because people believe that they wanted to portray something. And instead of portraying something, why not just be Ty Wilson 21?
So the crazy thing is that I really, in that moment, was myself, but maybe a little bit too hard. Like, I was really going through this love thing, and I really, really felt like this divine energy brought me to helping me figure out what love is, because I had already figured out everything else. So I felt like the love thing needed to be my focus. So although it wasn't, the Tyrone that people may know of me when you hang out with me, in that moment, like during that phase, like I literally blocked out the rest of my world and was like, I'm going to figure out if forever is an option for me.
You are watching folks who have just joined in. This is not the Shawn Show. This is the Shawn Show Overtime. The extra bits that will not be available. I got Ty Wilson, that's my wingman on a regular basis. I got Jay here, that's Ty Wilson's wingman. I figured out how to unscramble the damn show board, so we're going to have more messages behind me.
Is it backwards?
No, it's not backwards. There's an app and a whole process of listening to people who don't speak English well on YouTube to give you the tutorials, to tell you how to do that. But I figured out how to do it thanks to Kym Dudley, who said that she is half asleep and crusty now.
Yeah.
And if anyone's seen Kym Dudley, she's been on the show twice. Twice tonight and 3 times overall. There's no way that black woman is crusty.
Yeah,
she is she's the body butter bakery woman. The code is there. You have an hour and 6 minutes to cash in on this 50% off. Just type in mental, whatever you buy as your code. There's also 2 edible ones, and she only has 3 units left of the apple scented body butter. That is delicious. It's similar to, and even better than, the Victoria's Secrets that was out pre 9/11, and that shit drove suckers from miles around, including me. It also might draw roaches because that shit was too good. All right, so where are we? 10:54.
Yeah.
This is my feed. So if you want to join me, Jay Shawn Durham 8.
Yeah.
Tyrone Wilson is Ty Wilson 21. And Jay, what are you, Jay? Oh, sorry.
J Brown Inc.
J Brown Inc. INC. I'm
INC.
INC. I'm Jay Shawn Durham Inc. because I want to be cute because I'm a creative. Jay Shawn Durham INK. You're welcome, motherfuckers. But yeah.
I wouldn't say player. Jay probably would have been one of the folks on the Friends episode. My friends know if people ask about me to just be honest and keep it real. Like, I wouldn't say player. Like, who just said that?
No. And so again, this goes back to, I think in everyday life, we want things to be black and white, and they're just not.
They're just not.
And there's times when, people are in player mode, and there's times when they're not. You know what I'm saying? And that's not, everyone isn't the same every day. So, for a prolonged timeline like that show, you're going to get, Ty as he is every day. Now, if we're talking about, taking a trip to, wherever, and we there for a weekend, I mean, hey, we there for a weekend, right? It is what it is. So, it's not black and white.
How long you been married, Jay?
Been married for 3.5 years, together for going on 9.
Do y'all have children?
We do. We have a new son, Cairo. He
Cairo.
is Cairo.
All right.
Do you know how many people can't spell Cairo?
Cairo.
Niggas.
Bruh, this whole country is hooked on phonics. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Um, and then you talk about like low key racism. Like I can't tell you how many people are like, okay, so it's what K?
Yeah, but
Does it start?
but is it racism, Jay? Because Egyptians aren't necessarily seen, Northern Africans aren't seen like off the slave ship Western Africans and Central Africans. They seem to be more Middle Eastern in how they're treated.
Oh no.
So it's a
No.
different. So Cairo
I'm
wouldn't necessarily
talking.
be. Go ahead.
I'm talking about people spelling Cairo. They looking for a K, a Q, an apostrophe. Bruh, I'm like,
QUIA.
the city in Egypt. Can you spell it, motherfucker?
The answer is no.
Apparently.
Donovan, the Fit Realtor. I like that you changed your handle because you had like 211s and shit, and that shit's not findable. So that's much better, Donovan. We dig it. That's much better. You got Cairo as a son, clearly. Who's the second child? Who's the second child?
Any of the fellas gonna come up? You think?
To be determined.
Sean, you getting a request?
No, we just have one, man. We just have one.
I got no request yet.
And I missed last weekend.
I got no request. I got no request yet. Anybody who wants to get on, this is the freeform live. So this is not part of the actual show that will be posted on YouTube, nor part of the podcast. Podcasts take a little bit of time to actually get approved, by the way. So for those who are asking when you're going to be on Spotify, you should be protesting. No, I'm just kidding. For those who are asking when you're going to be on podcasts, Spotify or Apple or Google, it's going to take a second because there's a review process. And also, I've been a little bit lazy. I haven't downloaded the MP3s yet. But that's coming this weekend. With that said, we are at 10:58. Jay is still joining us. We having a drink. I'm drinking Lil Wayne's bullshit-ass rum. And a hazy IPA, little something. And Tyrone, you still on that little something something?
I'm on my third one.
He's on his third little something something, so he's incredibly vulnerable. Jay's not drinking; he's being responsible, and he's just making us delightful by giving bad stories about Ty and all the things he know about him. Carry on, gents.
There's some bad jokes in there too.
There's
some bad jokes in there too.
That's right.
It's all good.
You public 101, public relations 101. You got a better, more memorable name. So we got you. Who do we have here? Real quick, you got 1 hour, by the way, to cash in on the 50% off on the Body Butter Bakery. And Ty, real quick, as I promote Body Butter Bakery, how impressive was that Kym shared her story like that to all of us?
It was good, man. I get a little emotional sometimes. It's hard for me to get the words, but I wanted to focus on her strength, the little one, because I know that's not easy, man. Mm-hmm. Especially like year 12. Normally you can tell if a person has the ability to tell the story without getting too emotional or crying. That means they may have come to a healing point already.
And she almost got there, but then she kept moving through.
Yeah.
And that was even more impressive. She's like, I still get stirred up. If you were to follow Kym's actual site, she has some footage, particularly on a story site, but I think in her regular post, where she's driving by a house and she says, I hadn't been by this house in 12 years. And I remember that immediately. I'm like, wait a minute, is that the house you're talking about? So for those joining us late, our sponsor. And not to put your business too further out there in the streets, Kym, but this will be dissolved in the ether of the internet in about a week or two, and your daughter won't know. But you shared your story, so I'm going to do like journalists say and still reveal it. Kym was with a man who was the father of her child. She had a future with this man, and this man burned down a house and hung himself in it. And just last week, 12 years after that incident, Kym reveals that she had just driven by the house. And to further top it off, that house is actually her house that she grew up in. So that was her family home that was given to her. So something that was known for beautiful, wonderful childhood memories is now all murked up in this tragedy with a man who who would have been literally my age today. And so when you put all of that into perspective, the strength, we talk about strength in Black women. But there's a lot of Black women who like, I'm tired of being fucking strong. But sometimes you just have to be strong because you have other extenuating circumstances. And her extenuating circumstance is her daughter, who's 12 years old, who still does not know. Kym has not decided whether she will tell how or when her father met his actual demise. She just knows her father's not here. And that's why she turned around. I asked her to be a part of the show late because we had Dante. He had to drop out because he was doing Dante business. He had to do business. But she shared her story. And she turned around and said, I'm going to go back to my factory, the Body Butter Bakery factory. That's what's pinned there. And tell you the story because I don't want to be within earshot of my daughter because she doesn't know what happened to her father. God bless that family. Thank you so much, Kym, for this show. And thank you for, well, first of all, I got to keep you on because you look so good. You're your own advertisement. I'm a son of a barber. And when I had hair, my dad would say, you're my advertisement. I had my tape and everything was lined up. Your skin is flawless and wonderful. You are advertisement enough, but we can't thank you enough for being part of the show. All right.
So I gotta
go ahead.
I gotta give props again to that sister because it's easy to forget that not everybody just is able to move on. There's a lot of people that break. Things break people. And that's if you're gonna pick something to break you, that's one to pick.
That's the one.
And to say, not only did she not break, but continued on to do what she's doing with her business, with her daughter, all of this other stuff, just, man, hats off.
She just revealed that was the first time she told that story.
Wow.
Classmates have asked her about it, and she revealed it to us on a national format. God bless you. Thank you so much, Kym. And I got to get to Tallahassee. I got to take you out to dinner for different reasons.
Let that AK off, man.
Jay, how did you meet your wife?
Man, we met at work. She was in one organization. I was in another. We were in somewhat opposing organizations, if you will. We were fighting over resources. It was a lanes in the road meeting. It's literally what it was called. She was her side's representative. I was my side's representative. And we went in, we had the dog fight. I'm pretty sure I won at that point. But she's here sitting on the bed. She looked over at me when I said that.
Did she just say N-word, please?
Her face did. Face did.
Yeah, black woman's face. Is it a black woman?
Yeah.
Is it
yes, it is.
Woman?
Yes, it is. Black love, all the way.
You named your kid Cairo. What's the name of your other child, if you don't mind?
So no, he's the first.
He's the first.
He's the first.
Oh, you just got one. Okay.
Just got one. We're deciding on whether we're gonna do another one, but he's the first.
How old are you, Jay?
Oh,
I am 38.
You're doing another one.
Wait a minute, Ty. You just can't you'll do another one. Like you see how Ty said that shit.
Of course. Another one.
You gonna do that again? Well, so what? How old is your wife?
Of course.
If I may ask.
41. See,
now Ty, it's a little thornier once you cross that Rubicon of 40. With 41, she may be like, she's gonna pull up all sorts of shit. I had a girlfriend who's like 32, and she's like, that black women get fibroids and such and such. She was like already marking herself as like half the population of black women can't do stuff because of fibroids and stuff. So you're talking about 41 really trying to stretch that envelope. That's a bad metaphor.
Tyrone need a little sister.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Hey, Jay, I was told every A needs a B. Like if you're doing an outline, if you're going to put an A in an outline, you got to have a B. That's the same thing with brothers and sisters. So you got to have a B somewhere up in there. She's probably listening like, if y'all shut up.
I got the headphones in. She can only hear me talking.
She can only hear you. She can only see your expressions.
Yeah.
She has no
That's
idea.
Right. Hey.
We about to really go in now. She can't hear shit.
Now she looking over her shoulder like, what the hell y'all talking about?
She gonna use that ESP now. I've been be quiet because you gotta figure it out.
Hey, who's still here that may join in?
Yeah, anybody who of relative note can join in. Dominique, I saw that because Dominique joined into my live last night when I was testing equipment. So today, Tyrone, not only do we have the sign scrambled around, my face ain't blurry. So you're welcome, America.
What'd you do differently this time, Shawn?
I got a power surge to the microphone, connected to the power strip first so it can distribute the power so it won't just pull off the iPad that I'm using.
How did you get your microphone connected to the iPad? Bluetooth?
No, the microphone is connected through a lightning cord that was connected through the power strip that's connected through the socket.
Okay. He's gonna blow something.
I'm about to detonate this block of M Street that I'm on here. Weapon of mass destruction knows that Shawn doing a damn live. Oh, of course.
Oh, man, you know what? So wait, so this is serendipitous right here.
Yeah.
Because Ty, I was going to hit you up. I woke up random like a couple days ago, late. TV was still on. I look up, and it is a Science and Kirk commercial.
Oh, God damn it.
And I'm watching and I hear his voice. And I'm like, I know that. I've heard that voice before. And I look up, this nigga Shawn is in the commercial. I said, this boy getting all his coins around here.
Well, you know what? That commercial was done before the pandemic. That was literally shot the Thursday before everything started to shut down. And I have this is the funny thing about the show. So once again, the whole running joke, he's Tommy, he ain't got no job. No, I don't have a job. I have a career. I do things. I have several jobs. But I have seven commercials running nationally and locally with my face or my voice. 7. I shot another one last week. I also do other things. So people were like, you ain't got no job. One chick asked me 2 weeks ago, in fact, Ty, at the premiere party that we went to for DMV, Potomac, one chick was asking like, so are you just a dreamer? What is your deal? And I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, you want me to buy you a drink? Well, get the hell out of here. Like, I don't have to prove my deal. And I'm very comfortable in that because the funny thing is that like some of the couples who were closing out, particularly at National Harbor, they saw my commercial on the billboard for the National Harbor on the big ass screen at the commercial plaza. It's so funny. Like people acted like I was chopped liver, like I came out with a hobo stick and a kerchief, like I'm in the Looney Tunes cartoon. I heard y'all were ready to know. No, nigga, I actually worked for a living.
Nah, it was dope, man. And it's funny because ever since, you know, I came through to the spot and kicked it with y'all for the reunion joint, and we got a chance to chop it up. I was like, yo, Shawn cool as shit. I need to hit up Ty. Me and my man Shawn need to have a stick or something. And then the commercial came on. I was like, okay, that's right there. That is divine intervention saying, hey, holla at your boy.
I ain't even got my home improvement series of commercials come out yet. They're in edits right now for FH Fur. FH Fur, folks, if you're in DMV, your plumbing and all your HVAC and home improvement needs, FH Fur.
Look, you hear that? You hear that change dropping it there?
Did it change right there? What's that, Ty?
No, the way you switch it up is on point.
You know, it took me a second because I changed up. And I see you vote for Selena Thomas. I know that you gave a request that you wanted to join us. I will let you join us. I don't know who you are, but I'll let you join us for like 5 minutes or so, as long as you ain't doing no spam stuff, because you look beautiful.
Let me research.
So Selena Thomas, I saw you. Go ahead and request again if you want to get in here. You know, the funny thing is that, so I switched my careers. I was a corporate person, and I was doing corporate communications for Geico. And I quit my career with Geico, and then I suffered injuries that lost me the use of my left hand from a bus accident that happened 20 years prior, which is crazy. I've had 2 surgeries and all that shit. And I found my career. I found what I want to do and what I'm happy doing. And that's communicating and talking to people and doing other stuff. And what I consider myself a freelancer. I am a mass media artist, which is what I told them on the show. And the show decided to make the shit nebulous. They did not do me justice because they wanted to play up certain person's jokes as opposed to what I told them, as well as the actual.
Oh man,
I'm not relitigating it, but it's like, what the fuck? It's like, that's so stupid. It was so stupid. And you look back on our season, there's a lot of episodes of stupid stuff that happened. But yeah, so I'm happy with my career, and I got a couple of events coming up in the spring, and I got the HBO miniseries that I'm going to make a quick appearance in. I can't tell you what I'm doing, but it's going to be kind of cool. So yeah, the show pinned me as Tommy from Martin. Sherry, don't laugh at that shit. Tommy Ford, may he rest in peace, by the way. My sister did a pilot. My sister, who was on last week, Ty, she did a pilot for Tommy Ford. When she
you got a sister?
Really, nigga? We're going to do that? We're going to, as much as you were salivating over her like a hot pie on a windowsill.
I wasn't, man. I think that was you being defensive, man. That was you being defensive.
I'm not defensive.
I didn't. It's on film. I was just being cordial.
Ty, did you do that research on Selena Thomas? Vote for Selena Thomas?
I did. Oh, you wait for a response.
You care to share on this vote for Selena Thomas?
Nope. I'm drink.
Hey, Simply Denise.
She good.
I like how you said she good. So
far, so good.
So vote for Selena Thomas. We will give you some airtime, and we'll talk about your candidacy if you are in the DMV. All right. I am Coco Star, but even still, how you make your money doesn't define who you are. You seem to be an amazing positive energy person. You know what? Thank you. I am an amazing positive energy person.
Yeah.
Now it's turning into the Shawn Show for real. It's time for everyone to talk about Shawn. Ty's
hey, this drink is kicking in too.
You know what, Kym?
This Ty was kicking in.
Ty cannot play fucking poker. I guarantee you. Ty, can you play poker?
No. I could play some spades though.
Not when we last played. Wait a minute.
Damn.
I teach spades.
Wait a minute. Who did we beat?
Come on, man.
We beat.
It was me and Tasia.
Yeah.
And you and Libba.
Yeah.
Because y'all don't know how to play.
You know what? We beat that Chicago crew, too.
Y'all don't know how to play.
We beat Dante's boy, and who was it with Dante? Not Dante, but Dante's boy from the shot.
It was his cousin.
Yeah.
Lamont, maybe? Was it Lamont?
I don't think Lamont was playing. We mopped him up. You weren't playing with his cousin? And then Tasia and Ty jump in. Put it this way, we ran the table. Libba and I ran the table.
You got done in, son?
No. See, what had happened was, you know how some people is just conservative?
Hey, yo, Jay.
So they underbid.
Three sets you up, sucker.
What?
3 sets you up, sucker.
You think they sorry, right? Because they not bidding right.
I tell you, that Georgia.
Kind of find out. They just play conservative until you make a mistake. And then once you get set, then it's over.
That Georgia card
That's
play.
How it was.
That Georgia card play came in.
He was watching them books just fly up, just staring across the table.
Well, let me tell you something, Jay. Oh, we got 8. They're just flying with these numbers. Like, y'all niggas ain't got 4. Just set.
No, because it's like, you know, in our minds, once you get to like the 5th or 6th hand, you'd be like, yeah, they sorry. Let's go a little bit, you know? And the whole time, they bidding conservative the whole time.
I can hear it in Kym's
because they scared, but we not scared. We play the play, so it's different.
Y'all lost.
You know what I mean? We trying to kill.
How you still
You know
talking?
what I mean? No mercy.
Y'all 3 sets.
I mean, y'all was playing sandbags, right?
Because I'm confident in my shits. That's why. Yeah, we was playing sandbags, but if we get set, then to them it don't really matter. They just need to set us once.
Whoa.
And because they're gonna always get their books,
We set them 3
because
times.
They wrote, took it to the house.
We set them 3
Yeah,
times.
we got hustled, Kym. You know, they hustled us, waiting for a mistake.
You play cards, Jay? I got poker here. You play cards, Jay?
A little bit, man. I dabble. That's it. I dabble.
You married now, so you got to be careful what you do with your money.
Oh,
Hey,
it goes downstairs to the liquor bar, man.
Oh,
I made a
you
tweet
do that.
on Twitter that said, by the age of 12, you should already have 7 years of spades playing experience.
By the age of 12, you better have 14 years of spades.
You should be spades emeritus by the time you get to 12.
Right. I don't have time to teach you. And then believe it or not, I actually put another Twitter post that might be a little bit telling, but it says something about I've correlated all of my failed relationships by their ability to play spades.
What?
That's messed up, ain't it?
I'm sure there's a metaphor there for trust and supporting each other and all that other good stuff. So sure, why not?
You know what? I'm gonna stop, man.
Ty's on his third. Hey,
y'all want to?
Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, y'all want to have a mental health episode. How about all the folks that didn't grow up playing spades? All the black folks that didn't grow up playing spades. You want to talk about some mental health dilemmas and having to deal with that?
Well, let's really put a pigeonhole this. Let's really get down with it. What if you black? You didn't go to a black HBCU. You didn't go to HBCU. You didn't pledge a black fraternity or sorority. You didn't play spades. And you've never seen the color purple. Are you still black if you've done none of those four things?
I'm happy this question came up because we touched on it earlier, right?
Yeah.
And I was going to say, what is black?
That part.
And because we're trying to, remember I was saying we're trying to normalize
that's a whole nother show.
Black success. And people, when you're coming off as successful, they automatically assume that you didn't live the black experience or you grew up with them. And you want to be like, nah,
right.
Nah.
That's difficult, man.
Well, see, hold on. So one of my best friends in life, my childhood friend, Ira. Hey, Ira, if you want to get on, we can get on. IAD. Enigma.
I got one more
Go
quick thing.
Go ahead, Ty, and then I'll mention on that.
I did have a dating profile at one point. And one of the questions in my dating profile was, who is Sealy fixing to shave?
Now, you talk about a Black Jeopardy question. but it's not a question.
Who is Sealy fixing to shave?
We enter the color
if you
purple
can't answer that question,
with Sealy fixing
we
to
probably
shave
ain't going to work.
Who is Mr.'s father? Now, that's super black. Because if you can announce that Adolf Caesar, the great Adolf Caesar, Sarge from Soldier Story, is Mr.'s dad, then you extra black. Black is dynamic, but like I said, you had those four things. My boy Ira said, "I only saw the color purple." Well, you just got in there, Ira. you just got in there. You just squeaked in there. It's what is black? Black seems to be a Kym Dudley way of thinking, right? Like. Now we're going to get deep. Now black is about attitude because there'll be some black folks saying that white person is blacker than such and such. Some people will say Eminem's blacker than, no, because even though we may feel that way with comfort, like with Bill Clinton, they can still transform themselves and be white.
Okay, Simply, we got a chance now.
Simply knows about razors. Simply Denise knows about razors because she said, I learned how to play tonk. And if you say tonk, that means you got a razor blade up under your tongue. Simply probably cut a nigga like Della Reese and Harlem Nights. Am I wrong or am I right, Simply?
Oh, man.
What do I click to get on? Shit, I may have to invite you because your ass is. Let's see.
It's the little camera with the plus, man. It should. I'm on mobile, but
Yeah, you on your. Okay, I'll get him in here. I'll get him in here. Let's see if my
So
friend Ira can get in here.
This is Shawn, the Shawn Show after dark.
Yeah, it pretty much is. I'm gonna invite you, Ira. You should see a little button, and it seemed like he found me. Let's get this man in here. Now you talk about radical and talking about you. Oh, he missed my essay, so he'd be a great person to talk to. This is Dr. Ira Davis about to fly in here. You can't be laying in the bed getting on.
I know,
hey,
man.
I thought my camera was bad. Damn.
What up, Corey?
Hey, let me go over here by the light, man.
What the? You embarrassing me amongst my friends. What the hell is this?
Hey.
This is Dr. Ira Davis, everybody. Teacher, educator, and all-around legit militant brother who knows all about rap and hip-hop. I call him my hip-hopologist. You know, like Ira, I would say that growing up, I was the R&B and soul-ologist. You were a hip-hopologist. We both dabbled in the same shit. He's a social scientist. I'm a social scientist. We study the same things. He's an educator of young children. I am an educator of the masses. You're welcome, America. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ira Davis. What's up, Ira?
Yeah, ain't nothing, man. Shoot, just sitting here. Saw that you was on. I remember you told me that you was coming on, so I just happened to click on and saw you was on.
High school classmate.
Yeah, listen to y'all drop some knowledge on stuff. So wanted to drop on in before I turn in. Got to get ready to go teach these kids in the morning.
That's what's up.
Any questions for Ira, guys?
How you doing, Ira? You okay?
I'm doing good. How about you, brother?
I'm good.
Now, Ira does not drink. He does not smoke. He lives a very pure life. Ira has identified and sympathized with Muslim ideology pretty much the past 35 years. Would you say that, Ira?
Yeah.
and now your family, you've gone back and forth. You started as Nation, then you went towards Wallace and what we call sheer Islam, conventional Islam. But you've gotten back militant a little bit more as far as like we got to advance black people. Is that correct?
Well, that part never stopped. It just,
I know that never stopped. But I'm talking about the religious aspects of it. Would you say you're Nation, or would you say you are Malcolm X on his Hajj? And you know those are actually two different things.
Yeah. I guess at this point it would be more or less. It would be both.
See, I knew he was gonna say that shit.
Yeah,
y'all thought I had a problem answering the question. I knew he was gonna say that shit.
No. I mean, like certain days, like with me, with the family and everything.
Right. You educate your family every day.
We're still, in what be Orthodox Islam, under Wallace D. Muhammad.
Wallace Dean. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but still there's the more militant aspect. There the times that we living in calls for more militancy, and things like that. You got to make sure that we are grounding. My wife and I, we try to make sure we ground our kids in all aspects of things.
Mm-hmm. So that, like, is it fair? Now, I deal and dabble in metaphors, and your history, like I am. Is it fair to say there's a difference between Dr. King's Christian activism versus Nat Turner's Christian activism? And how will that correlate to where you are right now? Because they're both Christian, right?
Yeah, I mean, like when you deal with Nat Turner, Nat was more of your Old Testament leader. He believed in what was known as a ban, a BAN.
Right, that's right.
So when you go in and like when you dealt with the children of Israel, when they had to go in and to make what would become Israel, in the land of Canaan, God told them to go in under a ban, and the ban said that you kill, men, women, and children. Nat followed that same band. He felt that he had a calling, from God.
And that was when God in the Old Testament was like, I thought I told you to kill everybody. Where old boy would come back like,
right.
I left the children around. Like, no. I said, you kill everybody. That's when God was like, he didn't have a PR marketing campaign. He wasn't warm and fuzzy. He came with the fire and brimstone.
Yeah, but I think the thing when you deal with Dr. King, he studied and pretty much seen up to that point all of the leaders who had tried to go head to head, hand to hand, with the government. They, everything ended in death. Mm-hmm. It was all destruction, from that end. And so I think that's probably why he came the way that he did come. But of course, he did meet the same end. Still, that the others met. So when you understand, like even with Malcolm and Martin, and even that concept, like Malcolm once said that he told the people, he said, "Hey, y'all need to give Martin what he's asking you because I represent the violent alternative."
That's right.
So in that, they're saying, that what we want is not too far from each other. It's just the means going by of achieving those particular things.
Yeah, when Dr. King says riots is the voice of the unheard,
right.
What he's saying is, look, you could either deal with me or you could deal with them.
Right.
And that means that we still want the same things. Y'all are going to have to come to some reconciliation. And welcome to the Black History segment of our overtime. It's 11:28, 28 past the hour. And as soon as I bring my best friend in life, living right now, Ira Antonio Davis, Dr. Ira Antonio Davis.
You gave my whole name, brother.
I did, and I shouldn't have done that. But you know what? It's too late. So with Dr. Davis here, who's also husband to another doctor and an educator in his household. And we're just talking about, we've switched to Black History because it's Black History Month. And I got Ty Wilson, 21, on board. And I got Jay here hanging out with us. And this is overtime. This is not the actual show, but you can watch the actual show on my IG page at J. Shawn Durham Inc. or at J. Shawn Durham on YouTube. We got 30 minutes. Last one radio thing. We got 32 minutes before your Body Butter Bakery 50% discount is over with. Go to www.thebodybutterbakery.com and take advantage of your 50% discount while we are on the air. Questions for Ira, folks?
So I got a question.
I'm listening.
Because, we were just talking about how it's difficult not to be militant in this kind of atmosphere and time that we're in, right? And so with, you, and I don't know what age, children you teach, right? I know that it would be difficult for me to be in the right mindset to be dealing with children given the times that we're in now, because I'm on that other side of the militant side at this point, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you deal with that, and kind of what is that interaction like with the kids, and you being a man that is educated, that knows what's going on, that knows the history, and trying not to send kids down a path of feeling like they got to be militant.
Well, I mean, the main thing there, like, this is, I guess, my 23rd year in education. So in that, you got to realize that when you deal with students, you're dealing with people who mind and things are not fully developed. So and a lot of the things that you teach students, a lot of the things may not stick with them right now. Mm-hmm. And so, but you lay out those things, and you try to give them the information and things like that. And you really can't get starting out, I used to get like kind of down or depressed dealing with students. But oftentimes the students are actually taking in a lot of stuff. And they have teachers that are memorable to them, and they're taking in the information. But we got to remember that with us as a people, we're in a society that we're not the dominant group.
Mm-hmm.
And because we're not the dominant group, we're taught as such. What I mean by that is that we're not taught truly our history. We're taught our history and everything as it relates to how it makes other people feel good. Like with me, at this point, like really even being a teacher and really trying to teach Black history, like I teach in the public schools, high school, really trying to do all that within the public school setting. I'm not really trying to do all that. Like I teach my own personal children that information because I really wouldn't want my child to learn this stuff in school because it's going to be watered down. And you're depending on something coming from a curriculum. Once they get it, they're going to water it down. Like even for the county I work for, like they put out something like they were getting a Black history course together. I mean, my minor is in African American studies. They were trying to find teachers or whatever to teach that or to help build a curriculum, but I wouldn't even be a part of that because it's gonna be watered down.
It's not teaching that; it's peddling that.
There you go. So
indoctrinating.
Yeah, that was going to go. They're trying to indoctrinate you with a certain history, and so with us as a people, it's kind of incumbent upon us to try to teach ourselves, about our history. I mean, we can't expect those who were once our former, masters and all this to teach us, our true history. And also, and with the students, like, we could get mad at the students for not knowing these things, but it wasn't meant for them to know these things.
Correct.
Unless you really go out there and you really are seeking the information, it's going to be hard to find the information. Like, I have a guy that works with me. He's like 60 years old. He's about 15 years older than me. So he just comes to me asking me, he's like, different stuff about Black history. He's just now getting into, he said, I find that I didn't know this stuff. I never was taught this stuff. I said, well, it never was meant for you to be taught that.
Mm-hmm.
The things I learned, these were not things that were necessary, that anyone was trying to teach me. Like I'm the type, when I was coming up with Shawn, like I would go learn what I had to learn from the school book, but then I had my own books and stuff I would be reading on the side.
I read Enter the Pale Man.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. I would deliver that to me, and then I would deliver some things to him, and we were the oddballs in the gifted program that was like, y'all motherfuckers don't know shit, but we were also considered the geeks. Like, you know what? Y'all dumbasses are gonna be serving us in 20 years because you're stupid. But that's who we were. Go on, Aaron.
So I mean, so that's what I kind of have come through about, with education. So with me, I'm at the point where, okay, I go in and do my job. I teach the curriculum that they want me to teach. But I'm in charge of the African American Student Union at my school too. So through that group, I'm able to actually sit there and do some stuff outside of the school. They give them some information, outside of the school curriculum. And no one really bothers me or anything like that. But even there's only a small amount of the kids. Like the student population is overwhelmingly a Black population, at my school. But with that, I mean, it's still only a small handful of the kids who are actually a part of that group.
Well, but Dr. Davis, because I'm going to call you Dr. Davis, give you your respect. Dr. Davis has a fantastic following of children. I spoke to his class. I showed them because it was his idea. I showed them the movie where it was a PBS movie where I played Thomas Jefferson in The King of Crimes. Yeah, I've done a lot of shit, guys. But yeah, I played Thomas Jefferson on a PBS movie, and we aired that, and they had nothing but questions. And when you have questions, like Ira said, you don't think that they get it, but I remember we have certain teachers that stick with us to this day. Even if their curriculum seemed to go off the fucking rails, we remember everything that they gave us. So even when we don't think this generation is paying attention to us, it's good to say it. And that's kind of the lesson right there. And I'm going to yield the floor. Anyone with questions for Ira and me or about me, I yield the floor. And real quick, 36 past the hour, we got 24 minutes to cash in on bodybuilderbakery.com. You see the pin logo? You got 50% on that. Carry on. Questions, anyone? Bueller? Oh, you got a book recommendation question. Ty gave a book recommendation, Black Like Me. Do you have a book recommendation, Ira? I know we always talk about Native Son, but we always thought that Bigger Thomas was an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, he could have gotten away with the shit.
Yeah.
Had he, like, I don't know, watched one episode of CSI and, like, did better than what he did. I'm going to cut up the white girl and stick her limbs in this furnace. No, nigga, no. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a bad idea. But, yeah. Do you have book recommendations?
Yeah, I guess the books that I'm kind of on right now and the books that I kind of teach to my kids at home, we learn from Neely Fuller, the United Independent Compensatory Code, and Mr. Fuller, he's out of DC. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him. He's like 92. Then also Dr. Claude Anderson, Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, Dirty Little Secrets, book 1 and 2. Like Dirty Little Secrets, that's the book I actually used to help to educate my African American Student Union children. And also he has another book called The Black History Reader. Real quick before you get into that, what's Dirty Little Secrets about? That sounds very intriguing. Dirty is like Dirty Little Secrets about Black history is trouble. Dirty Little Secrets about Black history. What is it called? It's troublemakers and other things. So it's like a lot of things. Like they start out the book with. They tell you that, we've been upset with Uncle Tom all these years, right? Mm-hmm. But he says that our problem is not Uncle Tom. Our problem is actually Sambo. And so what we think is an Uncle Tom that sells out the Black community is really the Sambo that sells out the Black community. So would I lead this a leading question, Dr. Davis? Would it be the challenge is to identify who is truly Sambo in the Black community? Yeah. Dr. Davis? Yeah, that would be it, because in the Black community, because we've been dominated by another group, these Sambos are there, and they're the ones who kind of been sent by the dominant group to undermine everything that we ever put forth. Most Black organizations that have ever been out, we've been undermined by some type of Sambo. And they are the lieutenants of the dominant group. Yeah. To make us more subservient. Yeah. In certain ways. And go ahead. Yeah, other things that just jumping off, like one of the things he talked about, I think of, he had like darken the mind and pay a black tax, where it talks about how the Spanish, they were the first to begin in the 1500s to begin to outlaw education for blacks. And then if you were an educated Black person, you actually had to pay a tax. And so they were the ones who began, when we had this system of racism, white supremacy, they're the ones who began to take away their education and all this stuff from Blacks, to make us a purposefully, ignorant people, so that we could, be taken advantage of. Like other things because I've been dropping some things here to my students from that. He talks about how the first Black person who was born in America, from the last 500 years of us being in America. And then of course there was Black people here way before. Yeah, before that time. Mm-hmm. But it was not a slave. He was not born a slave. The first one who was born was... Black people used to live alongside white settlers. Yeah. In America.
Until the white settlers like, you know what? We need some help doing this shit because we're terrible workers.
Yep.
Come here, niggas.
Yeah.
I got to cut you off because I want to get other questions in here and get other perspectives in here as well. Any questions for anybody? This is Ira Davis. We got 19 minutes before your code runs out at Body Butter Bakery. Ira said that he was about to go to bed, but because I've known this man all his life, he stays up as late as I do because that's what Georgians and Southerners do. I don't know why, but we all stay up late. Ty is there and Jay is there, and we appreciate everybody being here. I'm probably going to let this overtime be cut on my YouTube. It'll be a YouTube exclusive. It won't be on my IG because we've talked a lot of deep shit on the YouTube. So we're going to have two things. We're going to have an episode that was a 2-hour episode, and we're going to have this as well, I think. Let me figure that out. Ty, do you have a question? Jay, do you have a question? What's going on?
I don't have no questions because I know if I do, we'll be here for another 2 more hours.
and Ty must be out of beer, too.
No. The most recent book I read, it wasn't even a book, but it was the autobiography of Malcolm X. But I did the audio book.
Who
and it was enlightening.
Was it a name brand person who read it, or was it just someone? Do you know who read the audio?
Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
That's dope.
That's really good.
Yeah.
You got any suggestions? Go ahead, Ty. Finish up. I'm sorry.
Just listen. Just listen to it. Keep your mind open. I always talk about this. It seems to come up every single time, but I try to tell people about the 14 words. And once you know the 14 words, then you understand. Everything else just makes sense. I think, it was mentioned that the numbers that we are outnumbered. And because we are outnumbered, there's a sense of superiority there. Not only with that, but I feel like subconsciously, and I'm probably going to get a little bit too deep, but subconsciously, they want us to be inferior. And I've tweeted this. I refuse to be subconsciously inferior. I understand that, you should teach your kids to be aware, but I'm not going to automatically teach my kids to be afraid. I'm not going to automatically teach my kids that other people have privilege. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to use that language at all because I refuse to be subconsciously inferior. There's no way I'm going to believe that other people are better than me simply because they exist. I'm not giving them that power until they earn it.
That is...
I hope that makes sense.
No, that's 100% important. That's the point of Black History Month. The whole James Brown, I'm black and I'm proud, that may sound like a simple mantra, but it's like, no, be proud of who you are, and you are on equal footing with whomever, no matter what their race or creed is. And that's what should be taught to our kids. I got a question that's sort of like divergent, and then Ira, I want you to chime in after the two men talk. Ty, you're from Massachusetts, right?
Yeah.
Jay, where are you from?
From Maryland.
All right. So y'all are, although Maryland was a border state, for the sake of this conversation, y'all are sort of north of the Mason-Dixon line, though. When it comes to these conversations and the Black abolitionist movement, particularly for the white abolitionist movement, particularly for Ty, do you feel like there's some white liberalism that is leading us astray when it comes to our history and what we can do? Like white liberalism has gotten us a certain place because they always want to bring up Abraham Lincoln, but it also sort of sells us short shrift to some degree. So I want you all to respond. And Ira, after you hear those two cats respond, I want you to chime in to what your thoughts are, if you can. Go ahead.
My black history training was Martin Luther King in January, Harriet Tubman, and that was about it. But I can tell you all about Auschwitz and the other camps. I know all about them.
Mm-hmm. So that part right there.
So you can go. We didn't
learn shit.
you can go deeper into, and this is no slight, we're not having a Whoopi Goldberg moment, to Jewish angst and other minority angst. But you can't really give us a deep curriculum-aided look into Black history other than George Washington Carver gave us peanut butter, and Martin Luther King existed, and Malcolm X hung out in Boston for a time or two or something like that. Is that correct, fellas?
That's absolutely it. You know, the things like, you know, the Diary of Anne Frank being required reading, right? You know, as you're coming through and things along those lines, right? Mm-hmm. Where, you know, you might get a Maya Angelou poem, right? You get a speech here and there, but you don't learn. You learn about the symptoms and the things that kind of came after, right? You don't learn about the cause,
the details, really. Yeah.
You don't learn about that, yeah. And even the way that it is framed puts you in a space to disarm you as far as how angry you actually should be.
Yeah. Indentured servants instead of slaves. Like, that's the type of wording.
That sort of is where the finger should be pointed at, right there on that point, right, Jay? They don't want you to assess blame. So they're conflating critical race theory, which is not taught. It's a collegiate theory. Critical race theory is not taught in the primary and secondary curriculums. Correct, Dr. Davis? But they're trying to make it all like, hey, these liberals just want to make white people such and such. They don't want to assess they don't want to make any white person feel bad for what they have done for these centuries.
I think part of it is that they don't want white people to feel bad. True, sure.
Is it a political thing too?
I think it's a political. I think it's all of it. But at its core, Black people are righteously angry. And when you start to teach us at a young age why we're angry, mm-hmm. you can't gaslight me later about my anger.
Because we got a right to be hostile. That's the story of that book right there.
I have a right to be hostile. I have a right to be angry.
That's the title.
You cannot tell me that everything is okay now. Because I can draw a line from the beginning until now. And I think that is what it's about. And what it comes down to for me is I somewhat get it. You want to find a way where people can try to move on. And it's really difficult to do it with that righteous anger. But at the same time, you short circuit the entirety of the attempt to try to do that when you gaslight people into trying to tell them that they don't have a reason to be angry. You know, leave that there. Leave it for that time. I can't do that.
Ira, so listening to what you heard from them. And also, you did read my play, right? The Frederick Douglass play? Yeah. The Frederick Douglass Ida B. Wells play, because she's a big parent in it. I was talking about the white abolitionists and where they are helping and hindrance in both ways, and conflating that, relating that long-winded question to what these gents just said about what they learned from their different stretches beyond where we from in Georgia. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I look at, like you said, the liberal, the white liberal. I see the white liberal and the white conservative. They say right wing and left wing, but it's the right
same bird.
Right and left wing are the same bird. And so basically, when you deal with the conservatives, they have a more alpha version of racism and white supremacy.
Very assertive.
Yeah, very assertive. And the other, the liberals have a more beta version of racism and white supremacy. All right, but what is being done with the liberal agenda is they're actually using Black people as pawns to help usher in their agenda. Because without us, they can't usher in their agenda. And now what we're getting from the the liberals, they're trying to make democratic ideas and black ideas synonymous.
That's correct.
Whereas they're not. And a lot of these liberal ideas they hurt black people than help black people. And they're doing things to put other groups in front of us, but they want us to turn out for them every time to help vote them in and do things like that. But they're not doing anything when it comes time to pay up. They don't want to pay up.
They pay us last.
They pay us last,
and we get layaway.
Yeah,
we don't.
Get the money when it comes. So when it comes to the liberal, understand that one of them, the conservatives, they're just more assertive with their racism, and the liberals have a passive aggressive racism, where they'll work with us, but they're not going to let us be in the lead and be the head and really be in charge of things. If we are, it's only going to be a figurehead. I mean, like, look at when we had Obama as president. Basically, the main thing we got from him was symbolism. And basically they told us was, okay, we need to be quiet and don't really say nothing. Don't really question what's going down with him. All right, but all we really got was a lot of symbolism, and we were told that, oh, he can't do that.
That's why we need this white guy to actually follow through.
Right.
Because if he can't do it, then you people, your party can't do it.
Right.
So that's why Jim Clyburn was like, you need to say this about black women and Supreme Court. You need to promise. I need to get you on paper to get us in there in certain facets. If you can't do it, we ain't going to do it.
But then you got to look at these liberal blacks who they put before us. I mean, we got to look, does Kamala Harris really, does she really, is she really representative of us?
Is she that chick?
It's the I forgot her name, the lady who Jim Clyburn is supporting.
Oh, the South Carolina chick? Is she that chick?
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham likes her, so I should.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is she really representative? I mean, these people that they put before us, they got somebody else's agenda that they're putting forth. They're not putting forth the agenda that can do anything for me. That can do anything for, I mean, these people are putting forth an agenda. I want my children to be able to grow up, have children of their own. I want them to be confident in who they are as a person, who I've raised them. But these people are telling my children to be the antithesis of what I have taught them to be. And these people are a direct threat to my children. So whether you coming from the conservative side, which is a direct threat, or you coming from the liberal side basically wants to cut masculinity and femininity and say neither one of them exist. All right? But here's the thing. Mm-hmm. They made black people a planned minority in America. And they're putting all of these things in front of us as a people to make us not procreate with each other, to put the black man and black woman at odds with each other. All right, they're trying to put forth a war between the black man and black woman. We already got conflicts, from our sojourn here in America. But they're putting forth things, now that's diametrically opposed to our own survival. But then they want us to go vote for him.
That's Dr. Ira Davis right there. He's my best friend. He's from Macon, Georgia. We come from the same soil. He's my brother from another mother. We are at 5 minutes before the hour. You have 5 minutes to take advantage of bodybutterbakery.com's 50% discount code of mental, MENTAL. If you missed the show, we were talking about black male mentals. It was a deep-ass topic. Ira, I think you did miss the show. We could probably recoil back there. Ty, I think, is itching to get in there to ask a question. Jay has been absorbing this all terrifically. And Simply Denise is about to convert to the Church of Dr. Davis. So, with that said.
About to. She in there.
She's in there, ain't she? She's 100%. He is married, and he has 48 kids. So The other Dr. Davis may have a problem with that, but we love your enthusiasm, simply, Denise. Keep that enthusiasm. We keep the conversation going. This is overtime, and then we might transform it a little bit because I'm supposed to mark it every 30 minutes or so. 11:56 for those who are still up. 56 past the hour. Who wants in? Anyone? Bueller?
Hell no. You already know how I feel, man.
Ty, let me tell you something real quick, guys. I'm cutting off Ty while Ty is being reticent. Ty is one of the more down brothers I could ever meet from this Ready to Love experience. That's why we are. Good night, Transformer. You said good night 2 hours ago, and then she circled back. So don't act like it's my fault that we're interesting. But Ty Wilson is a fantastic, genuine brother. And the thing that I have, and Ty always quit talking about how they portrayed you or whatever. The reason I have a problem with how they portray us is because they only let room for one narrative. Well, Ty has mental health issues, and therefore we must always frame it into mental health. Ty is a well-versed, down brother who is well-rounded, who is thoughtful, and acknowledges that he may need some work on some other things, as we all do. And the show can only use their Hollywood sensibilities to peg him down as, well, he only had sights for one woman, and therefore he must be X, Y, and Z. Which is bullshit, because Hollywood gives us movies where men are supposed to say to women, when I first laid eyes on you, ... My best friend, after Ira, who died, may he rest in peace. Both of them Aquariuses. May he rest in peace, who died 6 months after my dad died. My best friend at that time at University of Georgia said, I met my future wife, and she became his future wife. And so when TV does bullshit like that to stand-up men like Ty, to me, or whomever, and besmirch us because they're too lazy to give you a full-figured narrative of a black man who is already lacking full-figured narratives, then I have a problem with it. So I appreciate when people like Ty say, hey, Shawn, you don't have to keep recircling back to X, Y, and Z. But I'm going to recircle back because that's why y'all are here. And that's why, hey, y'all are cool guys. Because we're men. And men are not just created in a fucking test tube. We develop, we evolve, and we envelop the world around us. Jay, you got something to say? I just had to get that because it's a Shawn show. I had to say that shit. You got 1 minute real quick, though. You got 1 minute on Body Butter Bakery to get your 50% discount. Carry on.
I give both of y'all brothers props for going on the show and exposing yourselves that way. I told Ty a long time ago, way back, I was supposed to be on The Real World Australia.
Dope.
And I got to pretty much the last casting, and I choked. And really? I choked on purpose. Yes, I choked on purpose.
You threw it. Why you throw it?
I did. So it was a couple things. One, it was I did not like necessarily how I could tell I was being framed, because a lot of the questions were, how are you with women? How are you when you go to the club? This, that, and the other. And I could already tell they were like, oh, this dude's going to go in there and bone every chick in the house. Like, that's what he's going to do.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so I always, joke. I'm like, if there's a little melanin missing in Australia, I might have messed that up for him. But I think, getting portrayed that way and knowing that you don't have control after the camera stops.
That's correct.
Right. And knowing that that's going to be immortalized, and it doesn't matter how dope of a person you are, how deep you are, what degrees you have, this, that, and the other. There are people who are going to see you, and all they're going to know is what they saw on that show. And that's going to be enough for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to define you for the rest of your life to them. And, to know all of that and to still go on the show and to be your genuine selves, because both of y'all are dope, smart brothers, and to, essentially, leave it on the mat and let it be what it was. I commend y'all brothers, for sure.
Thank you, Jay. I didn't learn who Ty was until
Good shit, Jay.
fully. Well, that good. Until fully, when I gave him a ride home from the reunion.
After the reunion.
At the reunion. And we just talked about a lot of shit. We started to dish on some shit that happened on the show. And and then we went to my spot and we smoked a stick.
Let's get a drink.
And got a drink. And then we really went somewhere and we had a good time. Ira, you want to chime in, or Ty, you want to like clean up somewhere?
I mean, I might call it a night soon. It's just in the end, like we know what it is. Those that are educated, those that do some reading, those that are up on the history, we know what it is. And even last week, I was saying, like, we can promote, we can help the community, but if you go too hard, you help too many people, they're going to take you out.
Yep. Yep.
And I was saying that if I go too hard, they're going to take me out. And you can live in that fear, or you can continue to do it in a way, where your approach is an approach that the people may not like because you're not rah-rah with it. Like I was saying, Michael Jordan doesn't get that respect for what he's been doing because he's not rah-rah with it. So you could be smart, you could be militant, it's just up to you. But like I said, those 14 words and the numbers aren't in our favor. So, yeah.
Well said. Ira, what you got?
So the main thing, like you said, that Ty was being portrayed, he had a mental health disorder. And like when you were telling me what was going to be your topic on last week, I sent to you, you said, I'm doing it on PTSD. And then I told you, I said post-traumatic syndrome. Then I told you post-traumatic slave syndrome. So so when we deal with Black people in America, we're all damaged goods. So all of us really as Black people, when you deal with our genetic memory, all of us, we're dealing with a lot of deep issues and everything like that. Because even to this day, like how you said earlier, I was into hip hop and all that stuff. Even when you look at our music, and like a lot of us get mad at the youth and everything, and some of the music that they put out. But I mean, look at it's something conflicting in the art that we put out.
This man, you didn't hear my closing statements, did you?
No.
You see, we're from the same cloth.
Yeah.
But carry on.
Yeah, I said, it's even conflicting in the art that we're putting out right now. It's showing you the madness that we're actually dealing with, and so it's a lot of stuff that has happened to our people that's like locked up on the inside of us. That all of us, we kind of like need a therapist right now, as our people, and it was by design, because we were people that were meant to be broken. All right, and it's the fact that we still here standing. And people looking at that in amazement, and so now these people look back at us. We're like their biggest form of entertainment because they really can't. Man, how they still standing?
And our cultural food tastes good.
Yeah,
like what I was saying is like slaves made the worst of the hog and the cow taste good, and now we're eating soul food, but that's bad for us to eat on a daily basis.
Right.
So we make do with bad shit, but on a cultural level, we're making do with bad shit. It ain't really good for us what we're pushing out. That's my thesis.
It's like everybody they want
to
sit back and look at all of other things, but they really don't want to examine us as a people and really understand why we are the way we are as a people. you know, and
You know, it's funny. It's funny you say examine.
yeah,
They know.
yeah,
That's the conversation I've been having with a lot of people recently is just, I don't want another study.
yeah,
I don't want you to spend no more time because you know,
right,
you were there. You wrote the recipe.
right.
You know.
And you know, they kind of understand, you know, why we on edge. That's why, like, every time that we rise up, they got to send some stuff against us. Like, they got, oh, man, we got to flood it with more dope. You know, we got,
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
yeah,
So guys, I got to say something real quick. They're about to end my live
mm-hmm.
in 17, 16, 15. So those who want
Good
to,
night, y'all.
Ty's going to call it a night. Jay, you going to call it a night?
Yeah, I'm gonna call it a night, brother.
Anybody wants to hang with me, I'm going to be live for a quick second. And then 5, 4, 3, 2,